As we discussed chapter 6 yesterday and talked about that what exactly are the major developments as per economic survey, if we could have a quick recap, I told you that we discussed about that what exactly is there in social infrastructure, how we are doing good or bad in terms of overall facilitating those social infrastructure. I went on telling you that in general, you can say there are two perspectives. A, there are a few things which must be given to everyone irrespective of merit. And second, there should be a few things given on the meritocracy. And that is why on one hand, we should be empowering people with basic necessities fulfilled. On the other hand, human capital should be formed with the help of what is called health and education. That is why the chapter was revolving around telling us first that what has been done overall, how we are doing on various indicators, referring to HDI, multidimensional poverty index, with something which is respectful, that we are standing at 16.4% of multidimensional poor now. But I also told you that India has gone a little down in terms of HDI ranking, particularly in terms of life expectancy going to 67.2. That clearly signifies that we need to revamp our health infrastructure. We have also seen that how various schemes and programs which are there in terms of ensuring that we have enough of facilities in terms of health, in terms of education, what has been done for social security of the individuals. So the entire chapter was actually revolving around telling us that how we are, where we are lagging, and where to move. Now today I will focus upon another very important chapter from prelims point of view, and maybe something in the mains we could expect. But in prelims, as we have seen, that questions are increasing night and day. Every year we can see that more questions are being asked from environment, and it is natural also, because we are actually going through a very difficult phase. And as in fact you might have heard that yesterday's warning of Guterres. Again, United Nations is warning that if we are not putting the alarm now, maybe a few years later it will be too late for it. And then if you see that the kind of cyclone and the kind of earthquakes and the kind of other kind of activities we are witnessing itself is a testimony that something is not right there. Something needs some kind of swift action. So the chapter is dedicated for that, talking about what is climate change and environment, how we are preparing ourselves. So needless to say, the chapter will be divided into certain sections. First and foremost important that what we are doing in terms of climate change, what are our achievements, where we stand. Second thing, the chapter also says, because in climate change, from where the funding will come. Another very important attribute of this is funding, that from where the funding for environmental projects and these kind of things will come. It also tries to figure out that, what are other measures which could be supplementary, like biodiversity, wildlife protection, and e-waste management, and these kind of things. So, before I get into the chapter, I'm sure you are knowing of a few things, but then even, this alert was sound, in a way, the story began in 1972, you can say, when we got Stockholm Conference. This is where we got some discussion on that the way we are moving might be challenging in future. But in 1986, around 1986, when you got Brundtland Conference, when you said our common future, that is where we got the story. Actually, it became one thing called center stage of discussions, that we need to have some kind of strategies before if it's getting too late. And 1997 around, we got Kyoto Protocol. That is something which is the turning point. Kyoto Protocol, and after that, various what is called COP meetings. I'm sure you are aware of all these things. And then we got UNFCCC, what is called United Nations, Convention, Framework Convention on Climate Change. So that is something which gave us, in a way, kind of anchor that in which direction we should go. Needless to say, in 1992, you got Earth Summit, which is another anchor we have. So here we have more than one nominal anchors for that matter. Nominal anchors we use in economics, something which we consider as the post to refer to the things. So UNFCCC is saying what Earth Summits are saying. This is something which we are revolving around. The Kyoto Protocol also has highlighted all these things. But again, as I told you, the story began in 1972. There were a few initiatives right then even. I'm sure you are aware of Ramsar sites, which is another very important development since 1971. And India is a party to that from 1982. So the chapter talks about all that. So let's understand what exactly each things they have detailed in the economic survey. What could be significant from examination point of view, where we should focus more. So if you see that, but before I get into that, because it is just infographics, it is very important for you to understand, as we all are aware of what is this Josiphat controversy, right? In this case, again, the debate on this national mission, of what you call the National Action Plan on Climate Change, has become significant. NAPCC, I'm sure you have read in your routine classes, NAPCC is something which is one of the biggest plans so far in India since 2008. Obviously has been improvised later, but this from 2008 having 8 goals. That's how you can recall. So 8 major sub-plans are there. One sub-plan which could be significant, I'll come to that. So the entire discussion revolves around it. So in the introductory part, they had said this, that where we stand, what is in an overall scenario of the climate change, how India is showing its commitment. India is showing her commitment to all levels in order to ensure that we are not responsible for what is called destroying the environment. On the contrary, we could be savior of the environment. But before I get into these things, one thing I would like to give as a disclaimer. And this is my personal opinion. You may or may not agree to it. You may disagree to it completely. And it's perfectly all right. Sometimes let's agree to disagree. But, I personally believe it's a misnomer to call an environment protection. The question is not whether environment will be there or not. The question is whether Homo sapiens will be there or not. So let's call it self-protection. Let's be a bit honest to understand the scenario. Otherwise, this deafening hypocrisy is creating more problems, even if you see the way we are handling the situation. So if you see the entire introductory part, of the original document. That tries to signify that why it is something which is more personalized than thinking of only Mother Earth. So this is how they have talked about it. And if you see, first they have said that what exactly is the situation in National Action Plan for Climate Change. This National Action Plan for Climate Change, if you say that, I just told you that it has 8 objectives, and they had said that how India is continuously working upon ensuring that we are adding to what is called climate prosperity, and we are reducing our carbon emission and all these kind of discussions which we are having on and off. This is something which you have to remember already has been asked, I think 2-3 times in mains. That is called National Action Plan for Climate Change from 2008. It has 8 sub-plans. So the chapter starts with the narrative of that what we have done in these 8 plans so far. One is National Solar Mission. We all are aware of that India is continuously working upon renewable energy. We are focusing on renewable energy, and solar energy is one of the solutions for sure. One very important scheme we got, PM Kusum, which is a successful scheme in terms of solar implantation. I'm sure you have heard of PM Kusum, and even in 2022, when PM Kusum was supposed to be over, we further extended it. So India is aiming at that, by October 2022, if you see that 61.62 gigawatt of energy production. Still we are having a lot of dependence on thermal. Let's accept it. That is the reason why India is saying that carbon, what's called net emission to be 0, will be possible by 2070. I hope you're aware of that. India said 2070. What about China? 2060. Countries like Indonesia, 2060, major developed countries like, USA, UK, Germany, 2050, no, not Germany, Germany is 2045, unique one. Rest of the Europe, 2050. So you should be remembering this odd one. In fact, Economic Survey has highlighted that, maybe missing here, but Economic Survey has highlighted that Germany is the country which will be coming with 2045. Otherwise, rest of the Europe, 2050. USA 2050, Latin American countries 2050, and then all that is possible only when we are working for more what is called renewable energy. And this is where National Solar Mission comes into the scene, and we are continuously working upon it. And in fact, if you see, last year PM Kusum was there. It was quite expected that something will be asked. Something will be asked on PM Kusum because 2022 was the target year for it. However, in mains they have asked the question was that do you think rather than giving direct subsidies in energy, we should provide subsidies in those sections which are helping us to have renewable energy, where the efficiency is there. So that's a very good question, obviously referring to PM Kusum. But they were trying to understand whether you're knowing the concept or not to its core. So we are providing subsidies in PM Kusum. That is much better than giving subsidy in Uday. You might have heard a scheme called Uday for the Discom companies. Well, then again in Atmanirbhar Bharat, 90,000 crore was allotted for Discom companies so that they can settle their bill. So instead of giving subsidies there to the Discom companies, those who are not knowing, I'm talking about the distribution companies, and you know that there is a bill. I don't know what's wrong with this bill. From 2014, every year it has been presented. And every year, they should go for some rituals first, before presenting the bill now. So 2014, but the problem is that we want private players, but states are saying, no, private players, we are not ready for it. So whatever that controversy is, that is in routine classes, but you should know that India's new approach is that instead of giving now direct subsidies in terms of energy and facilitating that way, let's promote renewable energy and provide constructive subsidies there. So this is how National Solar Mission is something which is working upon. National Mission for Enhanced Energy Efficiency. Again, from 2008, we have realized that just producing more energy is not good enough. We have another 2 major problems. In energy, if I talk about India, another very problem is transportation. Do you know we have 1/3 of our energy get lost due to transportation? There's only one company, almost monopolistic, that is Power Grid. So Power Grid is someone which transport the energy from one grid to another grid. And the transportation loss is almost 34%. Almost 34, but little slightly lesser than that. So 34% transportation loss. So let's say NTPC made 3 unit electricity, up to customer it will reach 2 unit, 1 unit will be transportation lost, which is almost double of the global average. Almost double. So if we make our energy efficient, even in transportation, can you see we can double, almost 1/3 increase, 33% increase in our energy? So energy efficiency is another key. That is why LED bulbs, promotions, I'm sure you're knowing that LED bulbs are subsidized. Why? Because they consume less energy. These 5-star ratings of the equipments and these kind of things are what for? That's why Bureau of Energy Efficiency. So Bureau of Energy Efficiency tries to, in fact, look at your buildings also, sorry to say, but this building is not very sustainable kind of building. We have brighter sunlight outside. Why we cannot harness that energy? We need to think those kind of things. Even water harvesting is, you have seen that 2 days back, just a few drizzling. It was drizzling, not that heavy downpouring. It was drizzling across the city, and we have seen that waterlogging started. Why we cannot harvest that water? We need structure of building that kind, and that is what you call now green buildings. I'm sure you're knowing that the concept of green building has come up now. In fact, if not, you would be busy for prelims, but if you ever happen to get a chance, I insist that pay a visit to Environment Ministry building in Jorbagh, which is completely green building, not taking anything from the outside, self-sustainable, solar energy, water harvesting, and what not, which is a role model kind of thing. We need to create more such things. That is what National Mission for Enhanced Energy Efficiency is talking about. And it is saying that how, if you say Cycle 7 has been notified, to make sure, this is a term that you should be aware of. The term is million tons of oil equivalent. This is called TOI, tons of oil equivalent. TOI is the unit through which we understand per person, per capita energy consumption. Like in India, this is another thing which we have to be very careful about. India's TOI is, again I repeat, per capita energy consumption. That means how much of energy we are consuming. India's TOI is 0.6 and global average is 1.8. What it decodes for you? That means still our energy demand is 1/3 of the global per capita. Imagine when we are also becoming energy intensive. We have to be efficient. We need to be efficient, and that's why this is a cycle where we are trying to improve next level of energy efficiency in gadgets, in instruments, making few things mandatory. Like now we are working on air conditioners also. So most of the public sector buildings will be now revamped, and AC structure will be restructured to make sure that it is energy efficient, it is using energy efficiently. Then National Mission on Sustainable Habitat. Another thing, you might have heard, there is one very famous Vancouver Convention about habitat. It is International Guideline of Making Your Cities, SDG 11 it talks about. So there is international guideline called Habitat from 1975-76 onwards. That is also called as Vancouver Declaration. We have since then 3 Habitat. Habitat 1 in 1976, Habitat 2 in 1996, and Habitat 3 is 2016. It happens at the gap of 20 years. Now this Habitat, when it happened in 1996, that was the time we realized that our habitat should be also climate friendly. So how you can make it climate friendly? By having what is called public transit better, by promoting even what is called electric vehicle, having what is called water harvesting, and and other sources of energy, solar rooftop solar plants. In fact, this is very surprising. I often say in the class that this is really surprising that how this entire buildings in Delhi are naked. They should have solar plants. Imagine if you have solar plants here. Maybe your own requirement is fulfilled with that. Your building will be relatively cooler because sunlight is not directly hitting you, and so the demand of AC will go down. But you have kept your rooftops reserved for smokers, huh? So you should be rethinking about it. Yes, that's the problem. This is the reality, most of them, So we need to redesign it. This should be, and that's why we got, in fact, thankfully, startups are coming. Startups are coming thinking this way, that how we can utilize it, how we can harness energy this way also. And, National Mission on Sustainable Habitat largely focuses upon public transit, actually. That that's why not a surprise when this was declared. In 2017, you got a question in mains. So metro is definitely now the lifeline, and if you're a bit lucky and got a seat in metro, then it's one of the best thing. All right, cream de la cream. But, then even if you're standing, I must say, I personally, to be, though, I love, traveling in metro. Get your earpod and, enjoy the world. The only problem is Rajiv Chowk metro station, which reminds me survival of the fittest. But that's another dimension though. But then even, it's much better than bumper-to-bumper traffic jams, which we witness. And I often say, if you think that you're a gentleman, come to ITU at 9:45 a.m. driving the front seat. Let's see how much gentleman you are. The way people are honking, the way they are, behaving. Needless to say, it's not sustainable. We need to create that kind of infrastructure. So National Mission on Sustainable Habitat, can you see that how we had made these kind of public toilets, community things, and even metro rail networks. And we need, even metro is another thing. They're also having what is called solar plates. So we need to work upon that National Mission on Sustainable Habitat. National Mission for a Green India. Now, this takes to the next level of discussion to us also. I'm sure you're knowing what is called carbon credit. What is carbon credit? Why? Why developed countries, what is the rationale behind it? Because they emit more, right? All right. In fact, yes, that's what you have to understand. So are you giving them permit to emit? That way you're giving them permit to emit. Are you? That's what, In fact, look, let me tell you very briefly, what exactly this carbon credit is, because there is a term which is in discussion now. It's what's called buzzword these days. What is carbon credit? That you all know. I'm sure you are aware of it. But let me give you, in a simpler version for those who are not knowing. Let's say there is a fellow outside. There's a fellow outside who's a chain smoker. And we have realized that smoking is something which is creating pollutants. So what we did, we made a limit. Nobody can have more than 5 cigarettes a day. 5 cigarettes a day. Now this fellow is dying. 5 cigarettes a day, all of a sudden, how I will survive? Now, think of it. Now, as it has been allotted, the fellow cannot have more than 5 cigarettes. What he or she will do to get that cigarette, the 6th and 7th one or 8th one, what could be the way out? All right, that's good. Abhi is pe aayenge, good. At least I'm talking to the live class, that's good. अभी इस पे आएंगे, बीड़ी का भी ऑप्शन है बॉस. खैर, अब सवाल ये है कि if that fellow cannot have more than 5 cigarettes and it is helplessness that suddenly the fellow cannot change himself or herself from let's say pack of cigarettes to just 5 or 6. So the advice was, okay, fine, do one thing. If you want to have more than 5 cigarettes, say 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, go to Sunil ji, he will give you a document. If you get that document, then only I will, by the way, my name is Sunil, for the records. So, so that fellow will say, okay, go to Sunil, we'll give you a document. If that document is with you, then I can give you additional 2-3 cigarettes. Now the fellow will come to me, I want that document. I'll say, okay, fine. Take the document, I will charge for it 2 rupees, 3 rupees, 5 rupees, whatever. I charged 5 rupees for it. The fellow got that document, went there and purchased a cigarette. Now, this document which I have, it is for what? Why I am charging 5 rupees? This document is to make sure that this 5 rupees will be done for plantation of the tree, for reforestation, or all these projects through which we can absorb. Please, carbon dioxide is not the problem. Carbon dioxide is not the problem, its location is the problem. If it is too high in the atmosphere, it comes with various chemical compositions making dangerous gases. If carbon dioxide is higher in concentration and goes to our nostrils, it is dangerous for us. But if it goes to plant nostrils, what you call chlorophyll, it will be life for you. If it goes into the soil, it will be life for you. So the answer is the carbon cycle. The carbon cycle. So what I'll do, I will be the savior of the carbon cycle. I'll do all those things through which this carbon gets synced, through which this carbon cycle is further formed, and the carbon dioxide, which is in excessive, is being absorbed. I will plant more trees. I will do various kind of activities. Now the question is, what if I manipulate this document? It's possible that I'm creating bogus documents. There should be some international agencies to approve it. In this case, what I issued is carbon credit. What that fellow received is something which is, you can say, a document of carbon credit. And now imagine that fellow is going downstairs. He got a document from Sunil ji. Sunil ji कहना ठीक नहीं रहेगा. Sunil, he got a document from Sunil, and suddenly there is another fellow who is dying even harder than him. कि भाई तुम तो आज तुम्हारा फिर भी चल जाएगा, मैं तो मर जाऊंगा अभी सिगरेट नहीं मिला. I'll say, okay, fine. I got in 5 rupees. You give me 7 rupees and take it. I'm trying to take something lighter, but this is what we have introduced called carbon market. And that's why this carbon credits are tradable instrument. I think this is what they are going to ask. If I can sense it, it's a tradable instrument. अगर आपसे ज़्यादा ज़रूरत वाला कोई मिल गया, इसको दे दीजिए, फिर से दोबारा से मुझसे 5 रुपए में ले जाइए. Something like that. Depending upon how many people are requiring, I could. So what has happened with this? Because we know that people are there, and suddenly if you want to change the whole scenario, you cannot do overnight. Look, in the entire Europe, in the entire developed countries, whatever the installations they have, big factories, machines, they cannot be changed overnight. So we need to give them time. Back home in India, China, Africa, we may use that fund to afforest our areas, to create more resources for us. So it's a win-win situation. That's why, not a surprise, India and China are the biggest exporter of the carbon credit. That's why, can I use a phrase for it? Cap and trade. 5 cigarettes से ज़्यादा नहीं, और उससे ज़्यादा होगा उसका trading होगा, and according to your need and restlessness, I will charge for that additional document that you can get 1 or 2 more cigarettes. Now, what is the advantage with that fellow who's smoking? As of now, he was not knowing that he is actually contributing something adversely to the environment. As every time he has to come to me, he will think of it. क्या ये तो महंगा पड़ रहा है बॉस, से बढ़िया आदत छोड़ देते हैं. Something like that. Or maybe, so even when they calculate their balance sheet, these big companies, they might be estimating, if gradually I change myself in 5-10 years, maybe I won't require carbon credit further, and that's how I also can sustain for longer run. Otherwise, every year I have to purchase it. This is the actual purpose of carbon credit. We are not adverse to them. Am I making sense to you? So the actual purpose is, we are not adverse. We know that suddenly it will not happen. But we are trying to make sure that it should be brought to your consciousness that what you are doing and the way you are doing is collectively harming all of us. Why I'm highlighting this? Because this budget has talked about green credit again. So now imagine, as a district magistrate, if you know that the carbon credit will provide you a lot of money, as a panchayat head, if you know that carbon credit, my plantation on what is called Gram Samaj land and buildings will give me more money, people will be inspiring for that. So this way a win-win situation is created. So if you are giving more than your limit, if you are polluting more than your limit, you have to buy the carbon credit. If I am using that fund to create more assets, we can use it for that. That's what we got a win-win situation coming up, and this is what is called green credit mechanism. So the advantage of this carbon credit is, and that takes us to one thing which we have said here in box, carbon stock. Now what is carbon stock? Carbon stock is the way you are processing this. Can you see here is a term, sequestration. Sequestration is legal processing of something, of a property. So what we are doing, whatever excess carbon is there in the system, we are processing it into form of carbon stock. So carbon stock simply means that you are taking that, you are processing it, you are making it more effective with the help of your soil, with the help of plants and other kind of things. So this way carbon stocking is something which is increasing, and Arunachal Pradesh is the one with highest carbon stock. I could say this way, if you allow me to mix metaphors, that now Arunachal Pradesh is the Amazon basin of India. Because Amazon basin, you know, is the biggest what is called carbon sinking unit. So now we are having this kind of thing also, that we can use this carbon credit money for further afforestation, and we make sure. I'm not going that deeper because you have read in your classes, and otherwise that's not the discussion. There are some 4 major agencies worldwide which approves carbon credit. Gold Standard is one, the popular one. So it's not that any Tom, Dick and Harry can issue what is called carbon credit. It is well organized to make sure that no one is going for false claims. False claims. If they are doing it, this is called greenwashing, which they have already asked in examination because it was in the discussion. When anyone is manipulating in the name of climate, we call it greenwashing. So this way we make sure that we have carbon credits, we make sure that we are what is called using it for carbon stock, and we are also using it in various ways. More projects if we are launching. In fact, many of the states, UP has started one thing very interesting, that in Uttar Pradesh now, they are planting what is called massive trees, and this they can obviously sequestrate to get more carbon credits. So many states are coming forward. There is a healthy competition between the states to increase their forest cover, to what is called, to get even lesser dense urban forest. So by the way, what is forest? Canopy of at least 10% and 1 hectare minimum. No, the size should be minimum 1 hectare and the canopy cover should be minimum 10%. So less denser urban forest could be created, could be cultivated. So these kind of projects are coming to make sure that we are getting more greener earth. Now, here, if you see that, you know, in National Mission for a Green India, we are talking about all these things, that how afforestation targets are increasing, we get more carbon credits which we can sell and we get money from there. And you know, then we can use this money for further expansion of the resources. And so National Mission for a Green India. National Water Mission is another part of it. We have already talked about it, that how we got one ministry for it, that is called Jal Shakti, Ministry of Jal Shakti. And we have what is called, here we are trying to make sure water harvesting. In fact, this is another thing. Metro is a very good example of it. I don't know whether you have observed it or not, but if you cross this building, and I think 3-4 pillars further towards this, you know, Jhandewala, you will see that there is rainwater well. Metro uses that, where whatever the water is, you know, rainwater, that is being processed into the earth, so that it is not getting drained on the, you know, we need to cultivate these things in our flyovers, in other kind of setups, then only we can make sustainable drainage system. So rainwater well are very good initiative. In fact, whatever they are doing with this kind of vertical gardening is further helping in having some green cover. So this kind of thing we are doing in terms of even National Water Mission. We are trying to preserve, and again, in water also, there is no scarcity of water. The problem is of water management. There is no scarcity of water. The problem is of water management. And that is why we need to make water cycle better. National Mission on Strategic Knowledge for Climate Change. This is where we are having 12 such centers which are, you know, fostering this knowledge across the length and width of the country among the youngsters. In fact, I must say this, and I think that now those kind of discussions are bringing some results also. I am a strong believer into this, that the time has come that your birthday gift should be a plant. Instead of going that bouquet and, you know, all those kind of things, a plant or a book could be a good choice. You know, so planting, if you're, if you're planting a tree each year, you cannot imagine that how much you have contributed. How much you have contributed, that can be done. It's not that difficult. Have your parties, I'm not stopping that. Go for your gala party time, that's a different thing, but do plant a tree also. This way, at least you will have some sense of awareness. And it should be made mandatory. PhDs, you know, takes 5 years. So whenever a student is entering for PhD, should plant a tree. Whenever a student is entering into the class, should plant a tree and should take care up to class 8th or class 12th as long as the kid is there in the school. Will give the sense of belongingness to that tree. So these center, and I'm not talking in the air, it is their advisors. They are telling what could be the innovations, how we can create this kind of awareness to the people, and so. In fact, look, we got a guideline also, but I am really sorry to say that people are not listening it. Honorable Supreme Court has intervened and said air conditioner average temperature in the commercial building should be 24 degree. But still we are, 17, 18, we should be a little responsible here. 24 degrees is good enough. If in the summers, parching summers of India, obviously if you're trying to make 17, 18% and having a warmer and quilt, that doesn't make sense. Keep it, and that's Honorable Supreme Court had said, that we should think of 24% as a, that's why if you see, if you buy new air conditioners, then the automatic temperature setting is at 24. That is because we have a guideline now. So, all that is being done through this, that how we can bring awareness to the people and, about the climate change. National Mission for Sustainable Himalayan Ecosystem. This, I think, could be a pick this year. Because as we got this Joshimat, that has said that our Himalayan ecosystems are not in good shape. There is something we need to be worried about. Anyone from Dehradun or the nearby area will be knowing there is one very famous institute that is called Center for Glaciology, and that is called Vardha Institute. Vardha Institute of Himalayan Ecology. You should take a note of this institute, that it might be as Vardha Institute of Himalayan Ecology, which has been one of the key institute opposing these big projects in the Himalayan ecosystem. They had been continuously saying that this will be detrimental, the way we are having massive construction. Massive construction. Even if you could recall 2013 Uttarakhand disaster, that time also the institute warned that this is the peak point. Here onwards it could be further detrimental. So generally when such institutes are there, they have said something, and which is actually happening now. As a paper setter, it may come naturally in my mind. So, Economic Survey has talked about it, that there is one thing called this Vardha Institute in Dehradun. This is about Himalayan ecology. And here they're talking about that how we got inter-university consortium. There are 4 of them. 4 of the inter-universities consortium are there to create awareness across the length and width of Himalayan system, right from Sivalik to the eastern one. So that people are aware of that, what is Himalayan ecology, what are the challenges of these folded mountains, and how we should be a little careful in the construction activities and all. Obviously, we are not against the development in those areas, but we also should understand a fine balance is needed. So I personally believe that something from here could be, because nothing much is being done, but now the urgency is there. After, back to back 3 things happened, now urgency is there that Himalayan ecology or Himalayan ecosystem should be taken more seriously. So this is how we got a National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture that talks about that we should switch over to organic farming. We should talk about, in fact, look, organic farming, India is having almost, in the organic farming, India is now having almost 60 lakh hectare. But 10 lakh hectare we have under micro irrigation. In fact, not a surprise, last year mains question has been asked already on it, because last year NABARD has funded this micro irrigation. So the question was asked, what is micro irrigation and what are the dimensions into it? It is funded by NABARD, micro irrigation, 500 crore rupees has been given, because what we want, in fact, you might be knowing, you might have heard that, that IFFCO Kalol has made now nano urea. Nano urea, that's another very important, because the problem with the urea in India is that, sorry, urea is overly subsidized. In India, the subsidy to the fertilizer can be broadly subdivided into 2 categories. For urea, it is overly subsidized. So, you know how subsidy happens in urea? We say urea will be available per baggage 500 rupees. Per baggage 500 rupees. If it costs 2000 rupees to IFFCO, 1,500 rupees subsidy will be given by government. If it costs 2,500 to IFFCO, 2,000 subsidy will be given by government. But for the farmers, it will be in 500 rupees. For other kind of fertilizers, that is DAP, diammonium phosphate, we say we are providing you 500 rupees subsidy. So if it is in 2,000 rupees, you can buy it in 1,500. If it is in 2,500, you can buy in 2,000. Am I making sense? The difference. That's the reason why urea was excessively used. This fertilizer subsidy started in 1977. I'm sure you are knowing all these things in the classes, but I'm just trying to connect the dots. So this way, in agriculture, what happened? Excessive use of the urea has led to water pollution and eutrophication of the urea. Why? Because we are flushing it actually. Now, what could be the solution? If we precision farming with the help of drone and all, we are spreading it. We are spreading it in a kind of mixture. Obviously, if we are spreading it dry, then it will be stuck with the leaves. But with the mixture, we are spreading it, and that will reduce our use of urea, and nitrogen fixation will be better. So nano urea and even nano DAP is also in a pilot basis. So nano urea and these kind of things are ensuring that we are moving towards, and micro irrigation, you know, when we are going with the farrow, drip and these kind of irrigation facilities, even using the drone also for irrigation in certain areas on pilot basis. And even from Telangana might be knowing that there we have started the pilot basis projects on what is called micro irrigation. So this is how we got National Mission for. Now these 8 you have to remember. If you have not done in the classes by a chance, or if you have missed that, it should be in your notes somewhere when you're writing, because this is one of the biggest development in environment since, you can say, 21st century started and the debate on all these things happened. So this is the umbrella where we got 8 major developments. And again, if you see in last 5-10 years of the questions, at least not less than 3-4 times this has been asked. That what is this, National Action Plan for Climate Change. You can refer it in the environment questions also, even if remotely connected, because 8 things are there. So what are these 8 things? Again, think of it. Solar should be the part of it, obviously. In energy efficiency should be part of it. Sustainable habitat is an integral part of it. Greener India should be the part of it. Water mission should be the part of it. Bringing awareness to the people is another dimension. And then we have what is called Himalayan ecosystem. This is specific. And then we have what is called sustainable agriculture. Interestingly, mangroves are not the part of it. Did you notice? So be careful on this. Generally, people get confused that mangroves are not the part of it. That came later, though. Now, so this is how we got when we talk about this idea of, so if you see the document, original document of the Government of India Economic Survey, it runs almost in more than 2 pages what I just said. So they had given the major highlights that what is there and things are there, what we are doing and some budgetary allocation. I told you those factual information are not important for you. But you should be knowing the concept, and you should be knowing that at least the additional information which is mentioned here in the Himalayan ecosystem, that what we are doing to ensure that Himalayan ecosystem is more balanced and is not being adversely impacted, as we have got some incidences here and there. They've also talked about one thing called National Adaptation Fund for Climate Change. So if you see, have you heard of it? Anyone? National Adaptation Fund. This is a fund created in line with Kyoto Protocol. In line with Kyoto Protocol. Kyoto Protocol says, "Bhai, बातें करने से तो नहीं होगा ना, कुछ fund चाहिए. कुछ fund चाहिए. There should be some fund." So how the fund will be created? This is called Adaptation Fund. Kyoto Protocol has talked about it. As per United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, Kyoto Protocol had said each country should have adaptation fund. What this adaptation fund will do? It will make sure that you're gradually moving towards more sustainable kind of practices. Who takes care of this adaptation fund? NABARD. That's where guess comes. If NABARD is, please, those who are students in the classrooms can recall, I have highlighted this. NABARD is the only center for climate action. Remember? And that's one of the surprise, because NABARD is one of those institutions which has been acknowledged for climate action things in India. And that is one of the key factors of the NABARD. So here, if you see that, National Adaptation Fund for Climate Change, it is something which is under the NABARD. And in 2016, 15-16 financial year, we introduced another thing called National Adaptation Fund for Climate Change. Here we made sure that some budgetary allocations are made so that we can use that money for actions for climate change and these kind of things. So from 2015-16, this is helping us. And can you see that what they do? एक थोड़ा समझ लेते तो शायद याद रहेगा फिर उससे कि what exactly they do. Let's say there is anyone who is doing organic farming. There's a project which is saving a lot of, you can say, environment, not by having urea or not by having other kind of things. If there is any such practice, so there is a project called organic farming. There's a project called traditional agriculture, Paramparagat Krishi Yojana as we call it, from 2015-16. So we have a very ambitious scheme called Paramparagat Krishi Yojana, that is traditional agriculture practices. So these projects are saving environment. Now on these projects, on the merit of these projects, money will be given to them. On the merit of these projects, money will be given to them. In fact, this is where comes one of the things from Maharashtra. You might have heard one fellow, Subhas Palekar. Anyone? Does it ring bell to anyone? Who is Subhas Palekar? Zero-based natural farming. Zero budget natural farming as we call it. Zero budget natural farming was introduced by Subhas Palekar, which talks about 4 things. Those who are not aware of, for them, it is one of the practices to make your input cost of agriculture almost zero. That's why we call it zero budget natural farming. What it talks about? It says first is called Bij Amrit. It's a Hindi Marathi word, Bij Amrit. Bij Amrit is, let's treat our seed with natural pesticides. There are various natural pesticides. Garlic is one of them. There are various natural pesticides we are having. So by treating our seed with natural pesticides, that is called Bij Amrit. Bij Amrit. I think there are chances because again Subhas Palekar is in the discussion. Second is called Jeevamrit. Jeevamrit means we have various insects, worms, they could be very helpful. You know that how we are talking about now compost and all these kind of things. So that will be called Jeev Amrit. Jeev is life, that means all these earthworms, etc. and how they could be useful for agriculture. So by using them properly, you can get your cultivation. Then third is what is called, they call in Marathi, Akshadan. Akshadan is mulching. In fact, this is nature's arrangement, boss. This is the time we are witnessing that falling has started, right? When the tree leaves are falling, and if you are not sidelining them for the sake of decoration, they help soil not to lose the moisture. ये nature का arrangement है, boss. कि tree leaf गिरते हैं, नए पत्ते आते हैं, पुराने पत्ते को भी काम दिया गया है कि आप moisture को रोकिएगा. And then when it will rain, by that time the processing of the leaf has started, it will become a very good fertilizer. This is called mulching or akshadan. And then in Marathi, maybe my pronunciation is not right, so in Marathi we call it vapsa. Vapsa is moisture. So we maintain the moisture that way. So these 4 things are there which makes your zero budget natural farming given by Subhas Palekar one of the very promising ideas to make sure that we are going for. Now if there is any project, let's say done by that university in Nanded, we have an agriculture university in Nanded. So if they are doing any such thing, NABARD will provide the fund. This is what is the objective of this National Adaptation Fund for Climate Change, managed by NABARD. It is project-based. So can you read this now? It is a central sector scheme, is implemented in project mode. So project mode is clear. What is project mode? And up to date, 30 projects have been sanctioned, 30 big projects with the help of various agriculture universities and other volunteers. We have done it. So that's how we got, and government is completely funded by central government, and we have spent more than 800 lakh crore rupees, 800 crore, crore rupees into that. So this way we are ensuring that money is going is being pumped in the right direction, which saves our climate. Ramsar sites, you know that as of now we have 75 of them. And you know, it's a cliche that Ramsar Convention in 1971, 1982, India signed it. By the way, which country has the maximum Ramsar site? Country. Which country? Any chance? India? No, no. UK, very good. UK, more than 140. We are almost half of it. All right, UK and then Mexico, you know, that's how. By the way, you know, that's a routine thing. One thing which you should be aware of, because what is Montrex record? Anyone? Montrex record in Ramsar site. How many from India? 2, very good. So keep a note, because we got one more Montrex record. Not from India, but we got. That's how the discussion is. So in the Montrex record, we have 2. One is Loktak, Manipur, and another is Cleario, you know, Rajasthan. You know that, you know, in routine classes. So they had given a detail of it, how many Ramsar sites and what we are doing into that. So Ramsar sites and what we are doing in the Ramsar sites, that detail has been provided. So, so can you see that we are increasingly widening the scope? And she was right, though she have not heard me properly probably. In India, the maximum Ramsar sites are in Tamil Nadu, followed by UP. So, you know, that is how we got, when it comes to Ramsar sites, very important one, because you know that, you know, they are the places where our biodiversity is in a way protected and conserved. So that is why, you know, we should be, and, you know, I think I strongly that, but why they are teaching so much in the classroom? They should take kids to the Wooler Lake. They should take the kids to these kind of things, so that they understand what is Ramsar site. You know, nahi. Think of that in your classrooms. All right, by the way. So, you know, now, another thing, so Ramsar site information is very basic. What could be remotely connected, I try to bring to your notice that Montrex record, because we got some new entrant not from India. So that may be asked that how many Ramsar sites we have, what are the Montrex record from India, who are there, something of that. Then when it comes to mangrove covers, again, mangroves are very important, as you know, because they're halophytes. They're halophytes. Mangroves are again the, you know, those are from biology. What do you call them? Pseudopores, pneumatophores, something like that. Yes, thank you, ma'am. You are from biology background. All right. Pneumatophores. They are, you know, the special roots which come, you know, against the gravitational pull, and this way they can absorb. That's why mangroves. Why I am taking this to your notice? Because maybe missed here, but in the original document they have highlighted that how on the onset of COP27, we also got an agreement on mangroves. So that is something which you should be aware of, that in COP27, we also, led by UAE. UAE is the leader into that, and we are in India also trying to increase our mangroves, and because they are definitely, in a way, they are doing the balancing act. They say that they are doing the balancing act in the environment, right? So, you know, what we are doing in the name of mangroves, that has been said, that we have National Coastal Mission Program, then we have what is called Coastal Regulation Zones under Sagarmala. You might have heard one thing called Sagarmala. In Sagarmala, we take proper care that mangroves are not being destroyed in the name of what is called these kind of activities. And then, you know, the Indian Forest Act, that's very old. And then if you see that we are also working on river conservations and rejuvenation by having what is called people, policy, plan, program, and project. This is 5P principle for river rejuvenations, because most of our rivers are, you know, having very high BOD, as you call it. You might have heard what is, I'm sure you're knowing what is BOD. So as higher BOD is there, we need our rivers to get rejuvenated. They need to be now, in a way, we need dedicated project. We have one of them, as you know, Namami Gange, which is a kind of role model also for river cleaning program. But we should learn globally also. The way they have cleaned the Thames is a classical example. So, you know, considering this, you know, we have what is called this idea of river rejuvenation, with the 5P principle. It's a routine thing, nothing special has been highlighted in the economic survey, but they have given an address to it. However, the next thing which is, if you have the document with you, please correct it, is NDC, not NCD. This is called Nationally Determined Contribution, NDC. NDC got in 2015. Now again, I don't know about prelims. I'm not sure about prelims, but for mains, it looks a very genuine question. Very genuine question, because we have revised our NDC targets. We have revised our NDC targets, so that makes it a genuine discussion, no doubt about it. So NDC is a part of the Paris Convention. It's a part of the Paris Convention, and here the government of India is submitting its update that how we are. It is done at every 5 years. It's updated at every 5 years. In 2015, we were thinking that we will make our electric power installation non-fossil 40% by 2030. We have increased it now 50% by 2030. A bit ambitious, but doable. I don't think it is very difficult, the way we are coming into renewable, the way we are thinking of hydrogen mission, national hydrogen mission. So by 2030, if our national hydrogen mission is successful, even we can keep the fingers crossed that it is possible to reach 50% of the energy to be what is called non-fossil sources. Because still we are using coal, we are using the conventional energy. We are too much dependent on the thermal. And that is our challenge. Too much of, in fact, this is irony of the fact that now NTPC, one of the biggest producers, is also importing coal. Because our coal mining is very old in India. Despite the fact that we have our act amended, that is called Minerals and Mining Regulation Act 2015. We have changed our act now in 2015. But despite that, our mining is not, please don't take it personally if you belong to Coal India, but you know the fact. The fact remains that whatever they're earning, the revenue is not even good enough to maintain their daily wear and tear. How they can think of technology upgradation? So the time has come that we need to rethink about it. Even same goes with gold. Thankfully, Jamui has come with a solution. I'm sure you're knowing that, Jamui in Bihar, we got, some prospects of gold. And even those who are from Bangalore or nearby or Karnataka must be knowing that KGF we are going to reinstall again. We are going to restart. Baki to Rocky bhai le gaye. All right. So look. So all right. So that's what I'm saying, that we are going to restart again. So we need to be careful, because still our coal and these kind of minerals, we need to be more aggressive in their extraction with the technological upgradation. So I hope I'm making some sense to you. ये जो example देना था, इसका purpose ये था सिर्फ कि you must understand one thing. It looks 50%, but not that easy either. इतना आसान भी नहीं है 50% तक पहुंचना, because of our dependence on the thermal energy. But we are hoping that we can achieve 50% non-fossil kind of energy resources, including hydro and other kind of energy sources. Then reduction in the emission intensity of GDP by 33 to 35%. That also we can upgrade. This we can upgrade, that we are reducing our emission. A lot of things are electric vehicles and other kind of norms are coming up. And this way, definitely the emission can be reduced. And please, when we say zero emission, that does not mean we don't have emission. It means we will balance it. So we'll balance it. So, it looks like that we will reduce the emission. The net emission will be reduced. We are working into that. As I told you, that carbon stocks are there. A lot of forestation activities are going on. So emission will be controlled. And we are saying by GDP 45%. So that is something which looks promising. That's why I said, I don't know how much convincing I'm sounding, but you can borrow this idea that this is something very important development, and might be. We were expecting that in last year main itself. He might be asked, but I'll still say that this year they got a special acknowledgement to it, might make a question in your mains. Then, if you see that creation of additional carbon sink of 2.5 to 3 billion, that we have continued that way, that it is possible to make carbon sinks as we are working on the carbon stocks. So carbon sinking of 2.5 to 3 billion tons is what our targets are. I hope you can recall 3 major targets. First, you should be knowing what exactly is nationally determined contribution. How much India will contribute for the climate actions. What we are saying we will switch to non-fossil kind of energy, 50% of our requirement. We are saying that we will reduce our emission by 45% now by 2030. And we are saying that now we will be having what is called 2.5 ton to 3, again said 2.5 to 3 million tons we will reduce in terms of carbon equivalent, carbon dioxide equivalent. So these 3 things which you should remember, obviously it will be revised in 2025 again. And I'm keeping fingers crossed that maybe the data will further go up. Now, so this is how we got transition to renewable energy sources. They had given that how we are working upon. This is the data given that overall how much will be the, how it will look like in 2029-30. This is a projection that around 32-33% coal-based, 34% solar-based. I really wish, but we need to be more aggressive. And then, wind energy, hydro energy, and other sources. But yes, reduction of 32 coal reduction to 32 is something which we are expecting now. That I don't know even if we are somewhere close to 35, that is also forgivable. But this what I really wish that in 2030 we can say in our classes that now we have more solar energy than the coal energy. At least this is possible. That is achievable. We should be focusing on in that dimension. So, in fact, you should be aware of there is an agency called CEA, which provides all the things, and they also take care of energy trading. CEA is a responsible agency for energy trading in India. Now, obviously, when it comes to hydrogen energy, hydrogen energy, we need electrolyzers. What we are doing in hydrogen energy. So it's simple electrolysis process, water has been broken into hydrogen. So with the help of the unit we do it, it's called electrolyzer. So we are focusing upon green hydrogen. There could be blue hydrogen also, there could be black hydrogen also, this is called rainbow hydrogen. So we are focusing upon the green hydrogen and we need massive electrolyzers. Electrolyzers, we are providing a lot of subsidy and we are also working upon those areas, big areas which can be cultivated as green hydrogen hubs. So this way, with the help of public-private partnership model, we are ensuring that we have enough of electrolyzer and we are switching to the hydrogen energy. In fact, funding is another part. So for funding, we all are aware of it, and it has been quite in discussion that India is coming with the green bonds. Bonds are simply loans taken. So when anyone purchases the bond of Government of India, in simple words, you have given loan to the Government of India. Green bond simply means the bond which will be used for climate actions or saving the climate. And we know that we got 2 tranche of 4,000 crore rupees as green bonds. As it is given by Government of India, we call it sovereign green bonds. Sovereign green bonds are there, and RBI has notified it. So we are going to have, and the initial responses are encouraging, the way we got sovereign green bonds. So whenever you are listening the term green bond, it simply means it will be used for some kind of climate action. And if it is given by government, sovereign green bonds. Now, the union budget has announced for it, and we got this sovereign green bond. Maturity period is 5 to 10 years. Now, this is something which is another point I hope you can recall in your classrooms. We have talked about it, and maybe you have heard that renewable energy is in PSL or not? It is. As per UK Sinha recommendation, renewable energy is part of priority sector lending. I'm sure you are knowing it, but I would like to bring to your notice again, just to memory, that there is one thing called priority sector lending, where RBI directs that whenever any bank is giving loan, that is called ANBC, Adjusted Net Banking Credit, whatever loan a bank is giving, certain percentage must go into dedicated categories. They are called priority sector lendings, and in that we have MSME, in that we have export, in that we have what is called agriculture, in that we have even renewable energy, weaker section, health, education, housing, these kind of things. As you know, the quota is 40% for most of the banks, 75% for small finance bank, 75% for RRBs, and even now by 2024, 75% for cooperatives. Considering this, as renewable energy is also part of PSL, we are promoting that we got money for priority sector lending. So this has been highlighted by the survey. If they ask, it will be a routine question that which of them is following in PSL, and you know. So that is how they are saying that we are having priority sector lending in this, and we are promoting SIDBI, we are promoting other firms like NABARD, etc., to have what is called more promotion for this PSL with the help of one thing is a routine discussion you might have heard called PSL certificates. SIDBI issues a lot of PSL certificate. So with the help of these PSL certificates, etc., they can manage all these things. So that's how we got what we are doing. This is a new development that you should be aware of. हो सकता है सवाल इस पे बन जाए क्योंकि ये ऐसा एक सेक्शन है जहां पर जनरली नजर नहीं जाती. From 2012, SEBI, I hope you understand listed companies. A listed company simply means the companies who has come with the IPO, approved, and now they are on the stock market. That means secondary trade can be done. They are called listed companies. We can have listing to both of the major exchange, Bombay Stock Exchange and National Stock Exchange. These two are the major exchanges of India. Now once a company is listed, how big that company is, that determine the market mood, whether it's going to be bullish or bearish or whatever. Now, SEBI has made sure that big corporate people, I would like to bring to your notice, to your memory again, because I know classes में पढ़े हो तो लेकिन भूल जाते हो. So, and that's very natural of you. There's nothing wrong into that. बस एग्जाम में नहीं भूलना चाहिए, बाकी ठीक है. So, if you see this way, we have one thing called corporate governance. And corporate governance, which globally was given by Cadbury Commission, and in India by Birla Commission 2000. In Birla Commission recommendation 2000, we got the guidelines for corporate governance. Corporate governance says that you should do the ethical business. Ethical business. So ethical business means you're not manipulative, you are not going with the wrong deeds and these kind of things. So ensuring, in fact, this reminds me one thing also, which you can take a additional note. I'm sure you have read it though, that Competition Act is going through amendment. And CCI will be having a new composition now. So read in your routine discussions, CCI will be now changed, and the DG of the CCI even may be appointed by CCI now. And it could be even technical expert. 15 years technical expert also could be the DG of Competition Commission. In industry we read now, Competition Law 2002, which stops monopolization, monopolistic trading of anyone. And from 2009 we have one thing called Competition Commission of India, CCI, which is under competition rule. That competition rule is in the process of amendment. So keep an eye on that. It's an important development, and some dimension has been changed from 15,000 crore to 3,000 crore and such like. I'm not going there because it will be digression, but then even coming back to the point, SEBI has introduced one thing called Business Responsibility Report. Listen to me carefully. What is this Business Responsibility Report? This says the big players of the market should tell us every time. The big players of the market should tell us every time, each year, that how much and what kind of business they are doing, which is going to be helpful in environment, in social, in governance, how good they are. That is called Environment E, Social S, Government G, ESG report. ESG report. Please listen to me. What I said, I am repeating. I said that from 2012, SEBI had made a line that there should be one thing called Business Responsibility Report. Business Responsibility Report. Am I making sense or you're feeling sleepy? All right. Which is the case? Both. Yeah, don't say that. All right, fine. So it's okay. But then even, because I told you that now it's it has to be rapid fire round, right? And so when it comes to this business responsibility report introduced in 2012, make some kind of compulsion on the big players, the top 100 companies, to tell what kind of business they are doing, how they are performing, and they should follow a report called ESG report. In 2015, it was further increased to 500 companies, and now it is top 1,000 companies. But what could be game changer for you is now this BRR report has been renamed. So BRR, I think you can, it sounds rhyming with RRR, so you can think that way. So Natu, Natu, huh? All right. So so BRR report has been now changed to what is called BRSR report. Sunil se yaad rakh lijiyega, koi nahi. BRSR report. S is sustainability. Now can you see the objective? Top 1,000 companies, SEBI says, you should give ESG report, that what you are doing in good business practices and what you are doing for sustainability. So let's take an example to make it more clearer. From 2012, let's say Tata is listed in the stock market and is in top 100. Tata provides a detailed report called Business Responsibility Report, where they tell what we are doing in environment, what we are doing in social, how good governance we are having, and these kind of things. Then in 2016, we got 500 and now 1,000 companies. So let's say small companies are also the part of it. They are also giving the report. And the report is now called as Business Responsibility and Sustainability Report, which says that how responsible business you are doing, ethical business you are doing, and how your business is something which is contributing to sustainability. Sustainability, this is where they will give the data that how much of carbon emission they are doing, because I hope you're knowing that carbon credit is equal to 1 ton of carbon dioxide. So they have to provide this kind of thing. They need to buy carbon dioxide mandatorily. Carbon credit will be mandatory for those 1,000 companies now. Agar wo zyada emission kar rahe hain, to they need to purchase it. So that kind of thing has been introduced. This is what is wonderful thing has highlighted in the economic survey, and here we also have talked about it a bit, that SEBI has been one of the early adopter of sustainability report for listing entities and require mandatory ESG related disclosure for the top 100 listed entities from 2012. Abhi kitne? 1,000. So 1,000, this is what survey is saying, that 1,000, and we have ESG report for them. Now you can say, now it is called as Business Responsibility and Sustainability Report. Earlier it was called BRR, now it is called BRSR. So Business Responsibility and Sustainability Report given by SEBI, this is the guideline by SEBI for listed companies. For listed companies. What is the advantage of it? Let me tell you something from the actual world out there. हवाई बातें रही. अब अगर आपको FDI लाना है अपनी कंपनी में, your listed company, this report is, is the diktat. If your report is not that good, maybe the FDI will not be allowed to you. So these kind of things are making sure that you are, whatever business you are doing is responsive, with the responsibility, whatever business you are doing is sustainable. So that is how we had made this report. Then here is something which has been given. I would like to say, I don't know which year they will ask, this year, next year, but you should be taking proper note of this National Green Hydrogen Mission. I'm sure you have heard of it several times. National Green Hydrogen Mission, it focuses upon 3 things. A, how we will increase the green hydrogen capacity. ध्यान सुनिएगा मुझे. Green hydrogen production capacity will be increased to 5 million metric ton, means green hydrogen will be produced. How much? 5 MMT, million metric ton. And if we have 5 million metric ton green hydrogen, that means we can create a lot of energy. How much? Roughly close to 125 gigawatt. With this much of hydrogen, we can make almost one. So is this making sense? So if we are creating this much of green hydrogen. With the help of that, we can create 125 gigawatt. That is your SDG goal 7. That clean and affordable energy. 125 gigawatt, that means definitely it will be cheaper and cost effective also. And we can replace 50 MMT of your greenhouse gas emissions. Can you see the efficiency? 10:1. What does it mean? If we produce 5 MMT of hydrogen and make electricity with this, whatever we are using as of now, we can reduce carbon emission with what is called 50 MMT of greenhouse gases. So that shows the efficiency of the green hydrogen also. And you know that in India we have what is called India Hydrogen Alliance for it, which is ensuring that we are not leaving any stone unturned to get it done. दो बातें ध्यान रखिएगा, 125 gigawatt. Now we are talking about gigawatts, right? Thankfully. Yes, I remember, there were days we were happy with even megawatts. So when we were students, yes, it was megawatt we were talking about. Now we are talking about gigawatts. That's the difference we are having now. So, and energy consumption is also increasing. So 5 MMT is something which we are going to produce green hydrogen. This will replace our 50 MMT greenhouse emission. Can you imagine how much of carbon credit we'll get then further? And definitely you can use it for further what is called afforestation, other kind of advantages. Intervention is very important, that funding is required. Again, as I told you just a few minutes back, maybe half an hour back, that a government has changed its mindset now. We are not going to give what is called that kind of subsidy which promotes fuel energy, fossil fuel energy. On the contrary, we are going to give subsidy there where the greener hydrogen or renewable energy is being promoted. In this series, we are providing financial incentives. I would request to my students, don't read all these things from political angle, because a few names will be propping up when you search in Indian Hydrogen Alliance and all these kind of things. Not that way. We should be refraining from all that. But then even whosoever is the player, needless to say, this is for the greater good of the country. That if we got hydrogen energy, how we can help our people with better energy, cost-effective energy. Then, when it comes to regions capable of supporting large scale, I already told you that we are creating them as green hydrogen hub. I think Rajasthan could be green hydrogen hub to some extent here. Gujarat could be. These areas we have when we can have green hydrogen hubs. Policy framework is very much required for this, and very important is R&D has to be promoted. R&D has to be promoted, and in fact, I'm sure you have heard of it. A few months back now, almost half a year maybe, Germany has got its first train of hydrogen energy. They run now a train with hydrogen energy. So why not we? We are thinking of it now. It's on pilot basis now. We are hoping that I would like to travel for sure. If it's going from Delhi even to Agra, even in a neighboring place, I would like to. Why not? If it has been done anywhere, it can be done here also. But for that, R&D is required. Government role should be here, that promote R&D, facilitate R&D, provide subsidies on R&D and these kind of things. So we are working into that, and in terms of PPP model, skill development, in fact, we are assuming that this green hydrogen mission will also create a lot of job opportunities as well. So this is how we got when we talk about what is there, and then they have given a quick reference also that what are the major outcome of COP27. COP27 was at Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt. And where will be COP28? Very good, very good. Dubai. When? When? 23. This year? 23. To be more specific, 30 November to 12 December 23. I'm not expecting that from you though. But याद रख सकते हैं नंबर का last day होता है generally, the second or last day of November they start. So by the way, it is in Dubai. Why it is important? Why I really wanted it should be to your notice, because something which was started at Glasgow for 2 years. Can you name it? At Glasgow, something of its kind have started. That is called Global Stock Take Report. It will be submitted in Dubai. So you should be aware of this, might be asked. I am buying this point कि ये हो सकता है और इसीलिए लोग सोचते हैं environment question बड़े difficult है. Difficult नहीं, you need to understand the rationale what is there. Now what is this global stock take report? It is telling us collectively what we are doing. जरा ध्यान सुनिएगा, क्वेश्चन को थोड़ा वो कॉम्प्लिकेट करेंगे, करना भी चाहिए. What is this global stock take report? This will tell us that collectively what we are doing to protect the climate. And this report is for 2 years. So we'll start in maybe one meeting and we'll end up in another meeting. So the first report is going to come this year. Can you see how, enthusiastic people will be, that how it's going to be, which country has contributed a lot. And this report is published every 5 years. So हर 5 साल पे 2 साल के लिए we will see the report that how much which country has contributed. So the first global stock take report will be submitted at Dubai. At Dubai in 2023, that will be your COP28. So take a note of it. I think this could be. ये और आपको ध्यान रखना होगा COP28 क्या है, global stock शुरू कहाँ हुआ था? ग्लासगो में. It started in Glasgow. It took 2 years, and now it will be in 2023. The first report will be submitted, and that will tell us who is talking and who is doing. बातें कौन कर रहे हैं? The way on 20th May it will be clear who is talking and who is doing. So that way. So पहली बार आपको लगेगा कि हाँ अच्छा ठीक है. Maybe I'm sure that some surprising result may come. कुछ countries which could be the dark horses, not talking that much but doing wonderful. So वो report हमें बताएगी कि हमें किस तरफ जाना चाहिए, and that is what is is the major thing you have to think from COP27. ESG you have understood now. So they have given some additional terminology so that you should be knowing the term also. So ESG is a common term now you should be knowing, and what is BRSR report that you are knowing. So this way, they are talking about, and even it is also saying that, how in COP27, if you see that we had made the new funding arrangements for climate action and what needs to be done in that direction. Because one of the biggest challenge which we have realized of the climate change is, it is going to adversely impact our food security. Food security, as you know, that it is something which says availability, accessibility of the food. So food security could be badly hit if we are not saving the climate, because agriculture is something which would be adversely impacted. So that's what has been also said, that we need to have a joint work in terms of ensuring that food security. In fact, we got a report also from FAO, and there are other institutions telling us we need to. There is one very important institute, I hope some of you can recall, in poverty we discuss about it, that is called FPRI, that is Food Policy Research Institute, US based. That has told us that why we need to change our outlook in terms of food systems, the way we are. In this case, if we really want to ensure food security, we cannot be shy of accepting that climate change is changing agriculture. We need climate resilient agriculture. We need other kind of things to make sure that food security is there. COP27 was focusing upon that. We need to focus, and that's why we got joint. So all these details has been provided. I think most of the things are routine. There's nothing significant, except that in Dubai now we will get that stock take report. Even India had submitted its long-term low-carbon development strategy, also LT-LEDs, when we are saying that how we are going to have long-term strategy to reduce the carbon. Now, this is routine thing, as you know, that in fact here we had said what is the salient feature of LT-LEDs, that ethanol blending will be done, climate resilient urban development will be there, rational utilization of natural resources is important, and threefold increase in nuclear capacity. So we are ensuring that in the longer run our carbon footprint will be lesser. That is called LT-LEDs. International Solar Alliance, started in 2019. That's where we got this champions thing. And we are also, I hope you know it's headquartered at Gurugram. Gurugram, it will take time, Gurugram as you call it. So it is there, and we are continuously working of one sun, one grid kind of thing. India is playing an important role into it. Now this is something which I think has been already delayed. Ab tak aa jana chahiye tha isko. And keeping this Syria thing in mind, what has happened was unfortunate. But again, I would like to tell you one thing. This is something which has not gone due share in the news, I should say. The main news channels and others have not talked much about it. But India is one of the important party, in a way leader, to talk about one thing called climate resilient infrastructure. So we need to work on climate disaster resilient infrastructure, because disasters are increasing to the length and width across the world. So we need some kind of development where we make sure our infrastructure is disaster resilient. I'm sorry to say, but most of our infrastructure is not. Across the globe, you have seen what happened in Syria. What we have, So, yes, sir? Even yesterday night, obviously, but again, the problem is that we don't have any drill. We are in seismic Gen 4. This is what I often say. I really get surprised why we don't have frequent drills. People exaggerate the story. Bahut tej bhookamp aaya, puri building hill rahi. Grow up. Even if it's there, don't say that way. Don't say that way. It will create, further panic to the people. So we need frequent drills. And you know what? Disaster resilient infrastructure. There is a mathematics for it also. Please, I know that you have stories to share, but after the class. All right. So when it comes to disaster resilient infrastructure, there is a mathematics that says you put 1 rupee in the disaster resilient infrastructure, and it saves your 4 rupees at the time of disaster in terms of various human capital and infrastructure and all. So investment of 1 rupee saves you 4 rupees. That is why we should be focusing upon coalition for disaster resilient infrastructure. India is lead into that. India is the leader, and it was started in New York 2019. As of now, when it was started, there were 28 countries. Now we have 31 countries. So 31 countries in principle, and India is helping also for this coalition, that how we can create a network, we can learn from each other, that how we can create a disaster resilient infrastructure. Because disasters are going to happen, let's admit it, they are going to increase the kind of things we have done. So we need that kind of infrastructure. And in fact, not only infrastructure, awareness is also needed. That people are aware of it, that do's and don'ts and other kind of things. So, yes, that's what I often say, the time has come to teach all these things. There are, I have seen that, in last 20, if you see that 20 months in Delhi alone, we got more than 10 cases of buses getting, they're catching fire. And worse, people are throwing water on it. Simple arrangement, take your cloth, dip it in and put it there. It will save you. Anywhere if you are stuck into these kind of things, not sure what is the source of the fire, somehow get the water and save yourself with that. It's a drill required. ये सब पढ़ाइए साहब, बाकी पढ़ाना तो फिर भी काम नहीं भी चलेगा तो ठीक है, but this is something which should be the part of the curriculum. Thankfully now in the national curriculum framework this is there. So disaster management is something which is, I think disaster management and AI badly required now in your curriculum. It's already overlaid. So considering this, we are leaders in that. And leader in what? Disaster Resilient Infrastructure Coalition, that is called CDRI. Even in mains you can use it. As you have seen questions coming on disaster management, you can, it makes network of network, that people are learning from each other, best practices, what should be done. In fact, in the similar line, we have what is called disaster resilient infrastructure for island states. And we have what is called CDRI's Global Flagship Report on Disaster and Climate Resilient Infrastructure. So we also get annual reports which tells us who is doing what and how we can incorporate that into our setup. So this way we are creating some kind of knowledge society on disaster resilient infrastructure, and thankfully as of now no copyrights claimed. So you can say this way, we are learning from each other, and it is very important. I understand that generally when we talk about it, we are a little too optimistic. We think हमारे साथ ऐसा नहीं होएगा. I really wish कि ना हो हमारे साथ ऐसा, but then even we should be ready for the rainy days. So considering this, this is another very important development which has been highlighted by the economic survey. And I personally believe after Syria, this has become even more significant to us. Even more significant to us, that we have to take a serious note that what needs to be done in terms of disaster resilience. Then there is one thing called Leadership Group for Industries Transition. Again, it is something where India and Sweden has come together. ये एक बार पूछा जा चुका है, तो I don't think that they will ask it again. So India and Sweden has come together to take lead for what should be done for what is called climate ambitions and overall creating what is called climate narratives. So India and Sweden, these are the two countries who have started talking about it. That's called LEADS program. So lead it, we call it. So lead it is, don't get confused, LEADS is something there in logistics also. That's a LEADS report. So I'm talking about lead it. So in this, India and Sweden has come together for climate narratives and climate discourses, that what should be done, and we are having what is called some kind of awareness contribution in that, particularly in the industries, that how they should be careful about these things. Then there is a note for conservation of biodiversity. As you know, India is 8th in the world and 4th in the Asia. 8th in the world and 4th in the Asia in terms of biodiversity. In terms of biodiversity. And biodiversity, when I'm saying, I'm talking about all, alpha, beta, gamma, all the three. As you know, there are 3 types of. So alpha, beta, gamma, all 3 types of biodiversity. And from 2002, India is having Biodiversity Act also. So we are working a lot in terms of what is called protection and conservation of biodiversity. We have signed MOU with Nepal recently also in this regard. In fact, here we are talking about what we are doing on Convention on Biological Diversity, effective conservation and management, net zero. Then we are also reducing our food wastage, water pollution, and all these kind of things which could adversely impact the biodiversity. Then, in fact, in this line, you also got Project Cheetah. As you know that we got how many of them now? Now 20, very good. It was initially 8 from Namibia, now we got 12 more. But when economic survey was written, we had 8. But in February, I guess the second tranche has come of 12 from South Africa also. So Namibia and South Africa, that's how we got now 20 cheetahs. I think its district is, Kuno is in, anyone from Madhya Pradesh? Murana? Sipuri. Sipur Murana border or Sipur? Sipur, all right. So that is, you should remember Kuno. I don't think they will go for district. But then even, you should be aware of that how we got in Kuno, and these 20 cheetahs are there which were distinct from India from 1952. So we are working on the biodiversity, and we are hoping that like our Project Lion and Project Tiger, it is also successful. We are hoping for that. And then you can say that for wildlife conservation, how we are working upon it. We have 53 tiger reserves in 18 states. These are the routine numbers. I don't say anything very significant into that. These are the routine updates. But then even keep an eye, at least you should be aware of. And then is one thing called Convention of the Migratory Species in the Conference of Parties of CMS 13 at Gandhinagar in 2020 though. So I think relatively older one. Wildlife Protection Act 1972 has completed 50 years going through amendment. So here we are talking about we need to increase more species, flora and fauna, and protection of them, because needless to say, in 1972, what would have been the status quo, a lot of things has changed since then. So बहुत कुछ बदल गया है, and we need more flora and fauna under the protection of the wildlife. So we are updating it. 50 साल हुए हैं, तो maybe something could be picked up in your examination from that, in mains particularly. Because prelims mein to as such cheetah could be one, but mains may, you can imagine that, within 50 years, what could be the way forward or something like that. So you should be aware of that. We need to have more species, more, what is called a robust implementation of these, law enforcement is very much important, because state parties are not showing that much of commitment, more than often it is reported. So, especially in terms of trafficking, trading of these, endangered species and other things. In fact, our economic survey has also taken a note on plastic waste management. As you know, plastic waste management from 2022, when got ended, now it is, what is the minimum micron size? 120, very good. So now it is 120 micron. Keep an eye on that. 120 micron means thicker. A bit thicker, then it can be recycled. It can be used further. Single-use plastic should be banned. We have completely banned it now. And 120 micron means now it is recyclable. Recyclability should be promoted. And don't forget, jute is another thing which can come into the scene. Jute could be, and I think time has come, jute for fashion. I really wish my celebrities are listening. If they could do something of that, trust me, if a few of them started carrying bags of jute and all these, we'll get the message loud and clear. That could be their social responsibility. They should think of it, because we follow them. That's a harsh reality. We follow them, and if they're developing all these kind of things, I am sure you are knowing that in terms of jute, what is the position of India? Jute cultivation? Second. First we rotate. As of now, we are second after Bangladesh, and the entire red soil cultivates jute. Now, considering this, and where's the jute board then? Naturally, usi ke aaspaas hoga Kolkata, either Kolkata or Vizag, where else? So it's Kolkata. This is where logic works. You know where jute is cultivated. The eastern side, from what is called Sikkim to Andhra. So the headquarter will be either in Kolkata or in Vizag, where else? It is in Kolkata. That's where your logic, in fact, while drafting question, we keep eyes on this. Agar aapka logic kaam kar raha hai, to you know that, how we can eliminate the answer. So considering this, single-use plastic has been demoralized. 120 micron is the new limit. And economic survey has also highlighted the significance of jute packaging, and highlighting that we should be promoting jute packaging. In fact, for your kind information, now all fortified food comes in jute bags. Sugarcane industry. In sugarcane, now we got what is called 20% of the packaging should be in the jute bags. So these kind of things we are doing and jute is very easily recyclable. So this is how we got, when we talk about these kind of things, what we are doing in fact, one more thing is there, that you should be aware of this, that we have batteries are increasing now. As batteries are increasing, it is also important that we need to have battery waste management, e-waste management. E-waste management, we have a formula that you should be aware of. You call it extended responsibility. What is extended responsibility? The manufacturers and the distributors, जो बना रहे और जो बेच रहे हैं, it is their collective responsibility to recycle it. So how they can do it? They can repurchase it. They can repurchase it. They can identify the locations and these kind of things. So this is called extended responsibility. For battery waste management, we also got extended producer responsibility. For all the batteries, mobile se lekar car tak and whatever, all the batteries, it will be collective responsibility of the producer and distributors to recycle it. So what they are doing now, अगर आप देखें तो हालांकि it is unfortunate कि हम अभी शायद उसकी importance नहीं समझ रहे, but rack pickers are collecting that. I really hope this, I will be 0% surprised if someday I learn that this Casify, etc. are doing that. They can do these kind of things. We can have startup. Certain collection points could be there, where whatever your charged batteries are, you come with that, will give you some amount transferred in your Paytm. Something like that. So you will be incentivized for that. And that can be, we can directly contact to the, to what is called producer and distributors, and they can use it further. This is what kind of chain we are trying to create. Some startups are already there. We need to intensify it. One is Pom, which is there for this purpose of recycling these kind of batteries and electronic wastes. So we have that kind of thing now. But battery waste, because we are moving towards lithium batteries, and more than 162 industries are now using semiconductors. So it's very important that we should be recycling this battery also. So it has talked about that, what is battery waste management. And the key word is extended producer's responsibility. That means it will be their responsibility to ensure recycling. How they can do it? By incentivizing it. अगर थोड़ा पैसा वैसा देंगे तो उससे फायदा मिल सकता है. That's what we are thinking of. Then all these things are here, that what we are doing for solar modules and all, and here got a quick list of it. So this was about the chapter. Quickly we talk about what is being done in budget. Battery energy storage system, we are trying to increase it, because in what is called various kind of cars and other, now we need big batteries, right? So we got a special arrangement for it. One more thing I would like to talk about, maybe this additional, but you should be aware of it. India is also focusing upon now critical minerals. We got critical minerals regulation. What is critical mineral? All those which are required in this new industry when we are moving towards electric vehicle, and look the way we are getting digitalized. So lithium, and lithium is the new gold. Lithium is the new gold. And I'm sure you're knowing where the maximum lithium is found? ABC triangle. Remember that? Argentina, Bolivia, and Chile. ABC triangle we call it. And in India we also got lithium now. So yes. So lithium is the new gold, they say. Lithium, cobalt, cobalt, copper, nickel, rare earth elements. We need to work into that also. So when it comes to critical minerals, India is now having critical minerals regulation. Here I would like to tell one thing, ab chahe to add kar lo, ki India and Australia has signed MOU. हालांकि जब तक इकोनॉमिक सर्वे था तब तक शायद अपडेट नहीं था, बट इंडिया ऑस्ट्रेलिया हैज साइन नाउ MOU फॉर क्रिटिकल मिनरल्स. कनाडा इज ट्राइंग टू कैपिटलाइज बिकॉज दे हैव अ लॉट ऑफ, इसीलिए चचा अंडरस्टैंड, यूएसए, अंकल सैम हिंदी नेम इज चचा ना. सो अंकल सैम इज मूविंग टूवर्ड्स कैनेडा. दिस इज कॉल्ड नियर शोरिंग. There are two terms popular in US policy from the Trump time. One is called friendshoring, moving towards friend countries like Korea and Hong Kong. And second is called nearshoring, moving towards Canada, Mexico. These are the places where you have a lot of these. So everything, there are no free lunches on this earth, particularly if coming from USA. So that is what this is called nearshoring. Nearshoring is the term for it. Should be knowing friendshoring, nearshoring, these terms. So, because the global supply chain actually, so here we have one thing that's called KABIL. KABIL is Khanij Videsh India Limited. Khanij Videsh, that means mineral in other countries. That's how Khanij Videsh India Limited, short form is KABIL. KABIL हमें KABIL बनाएगा कि हम, we have enough of the things to make what is called semiconductors, and already we have one thing called design linked incentives for semiconductors. Semiconductors को हम already promote कर रहे हैं with 76,000 crore rupees project. That is called DLI for semiconductors. So this is how we got, cobalt, copper, lithium, nickel. Lithium is the most significant, followed by cobalt, copper, nickel, and rare earth. And this will be the part of global supply chain. In fact, Nalco, HCL, Hindalco is also there. Hindalco, I'm sure you're knowing, Hindalco is for aluminium. Very good. कुछ बात को लेके अभी खबर में थी Hindalco. Something big development in railway. Very good. Keep an eye on that news. That could be significant from Plim's point of view. Hindalco and railway has joined it, and they have created aluminium based coach now. So KABIL, you should be aware of. KABIL is Khanij Videsh Limited, which will make sure that we are into the rare earth business as well. So coming back to the point, budget has talked about the green credit program. I have told you Amrit Dharohar is saying local community should be promoted. PM Pranam is to change our lifestyle for restoration, awareness, nourishment, and amelioration of Mother Earth to be environment friendly. Do not confuse with life. Life is something different. Life is lifestyle for environment. That we have introduced already in COP26. Then Bharatiya Prakritik Kheti Bio Input Resource, I told you about it. MISTI is another thing for mangrove initiatives. As I told you that mangrove is something which is definitely a balancer. And then ethanol blending programs are there. So this is how we got this chapter. Again, I'll say, though my focus here was to give you information in interactive format, but then even a quick revision after the class will be required. Because if you are not revising, you will miss that whatever basic information you have gathered. And from this chapter, if you see from last few years, the chapter of climate action is giving you direct question in prelims and one sure shot question in mains. और मेंस का तो बिल्कुल predictability जिसको सबसे लंबा बॉक्स दिया उन्होंने इकोनॉमिक सर्वे में, that is your question. So that's how, even if I know that you are predicting it, you can guess it, I will give the question. Because your awareness will help us if you are a future bureaucrat. So even if we are knowing that sometimes very predictable topics are also asked, because they are very important otherwise for a bureaucrat. So that is how we got when we talk about, let's see quickly about the questions now. Which of the following missions are the part of National Action Plan on Climate Change? How many of them are there? 8 from 2008. National Mission on Sustainable Mangroves? No. National Water Mission? Yes. National Mission for Enhanced Energy Efficiency? Yes. So you know the answer. 2 and 3, 1 is not there. For mangroves, in COP27 we got international agreement. Recently, Government of India has updated its nationally determined contributions, NDC, as per Article 4 of the Paris Agreement. Article 4 could be significant. यहाँ पर वो game कर सकते हैं. 5, 7, something like this. So Article 4 of the Paris Agreement talks about it. In this context, which of the following are right? To achieve about 50% cumulative electric power installation? That's right. I told you that we have moved from 30, so now we are talking about 50. Now, to reduce the emission intensity of GDP by 45%, that's right. Earlier it was 30 to 35, now it is 45%. To create an additional carbon sink of 5 to 10 billion tons of CO2 equivalent through, yes, now you know this, it's 2.5 to 3. But here is the point, I really wish कि अगली report में ऐसे ही कुछ रहे. In 2025 we can say this way कि अच्छा चलो ऐसा कितना कोई मुश्किल काम भी नहीं है. The way we are, but as of now it's wrong, right? So option is 1 and 2 right, 3 is wrong. Accordingly you can eliminate. In the context of forest and climate change, which of the following? इसमें तो खैर सोचना नहीं है. Arunachal, by the way, Madhya Pradesh have the biggest forest. I hope you're knowing, not AP. Keep this in mind. So जिसने भी question design किया, he was having information. Keeping Madhya Pradesh here made this question a bit interesting. So look, then green hydrogen production capacity of at least 5 MMT per annum. I told you 5 is to 50 is the ratio. Renewable energy capacity addition of about 500 gigawatt. I really wish 125 gigawatt, 100 plus. That's how you can roughly recall. 500 gigawatt and abatement of nearly 200 MMT. So that's 50 is to 5, not 200 is to 5. So the second statement is wrong, first is right. In the context of green finance and sustainable development in India, which of the following organization has issued a new sustainability reporting requirement under the Securities and Exchange Board of India, SEBI, not RBI. State Bank has nothing to do with this. एक बार नाबार्ड होता तो मैं कहता कि हाँ थोड़ा फंसाने वाला था क्वेश्चन. Had it been NABARD, people could have got a bit confused. So मुझे लगना होता तो मैं NABARD रखता थोड़ा to make it more interesting. By the way, it's SEBI. It's SEBI. But again, I'll say Competition Commission of India is in news, CCI. Take a proper note. Maybe in industry something might come in discussion, but then even you should be aware of. And then here NDC, I told you, could be significant from examination point of view. And India has made some key contribution. What you will talk about key contribution of India, you should talk about how we are a coalition for disaster resilient infrastructure, International Solar Alliance, these kind of things, what we are doing also to make contributive footprints in climate action, right? So this was about this chapter, very important from prelims point of view. So let's move to the next chapter, that is agriculture and food management. Now, needless to say, I'm sure you're aware of, as per the last year's trend, agriculture has been frequently asked in mains, right? So it is one of those topics which is your, I often say that, you know, there's one thing called free hit in cricket. It's a free hit. आप out नहीं होते, run बन जाते हैं, maybe या 6 also. And that's why agriculture is always a safe deal. 2 questions, sure shot, free hit kind of, at least out of 12, 4, 5 you can easily get. And if you're little organized, 7, 8, you need such full toss balls. You know, those who are not playing cricket, I'm talking about those places where you can score better with lesser efforts. Agriculture is one of those topics for sure. The reason is very obvious, because as you know that India's 65% population is rural currently, though as per census it was 68%. And when I say rural, tribal population are added into it. So that means people residing in rural areas plus tribal areas. So 65% of the population and almost 50% of the population, though in economic survey says 47%, FAO says more than 65%, whatever. But you can say roughly 47% to 50% people are directly dependent on agricultural income. If you really want to change the scenario, if you really want to make the things prosperous, agriculture is something which is unavoidable. One more thing I would like to talk about here. In agriculture, there are several reports telling that if India has to grow in 2 digits, if India has to grow in 2 digits of growth rate, I have been doing growth rate, 2 digits of growth rate. As of now, what is the growth rate projected for this year? 6.5. Let me remind you again, when we say growth rate, it has to be real. When we talk about growth rate, it is real unless otherwise specified, which is nominal. So the real growth rate is 6.5. If you really want to be more than 10% of the real growth rate, it has been said that continuously your agriculture should go for more than 3% for at least 5-10 years. Thankfully, now in agricultural growth, we are at 4.6%. That means we are on the right trajectory. Agriculture is something, so not a surprise, this is something which is also, in a country like India, agriculture is required from 4 dimensions, says FAO. Why agriculture economics is important? Though we are discussing in, let's say, half an hour and 45 minutes, but those who are knowing in economics, it's a full-fledged subject called agriculture economics. In agriculture economics, we say agriculture is required for 4 things. First and foremost important, India is such a huge population country, so that if we don't have food sustainability in food production, we can't have food security by importing things from the outside. Country like India with this huge population cannot think of food security, and when I say food security, it means availability and nutrition both. So if you really want to ensure food security, we need to have our own production. Such a big country with this huge population, I hope you're knowing that every 6th person on this earth is Indian. Do the maths. 7 billion world population, 1.2 officially your population from 2020, every 6th person is Indian. Bingo. Now, can you see that? That's how it is. So considering this, as every 6th person is Indian, and if we really want to cater their food requirements, we need to have our own production. The second point FAO highlights why agriculture should be important for India. Even if India wants to promote its export, I'm sure you are knowing that India remains in current account deficit. And we are having soaring current account deficit because of this inflation issue and the currency devaluation as well. And current account deficit, and that too mixed with fiscal deficit, you know, further complex the problem. It further get graduated. So in country like India, if you really want current account surplus, you have to work on agriculture. Let me give you quick statistics. As of now, of the total export of India, almost more than 15% is done for petroleum oil lubricant, POL as we call it. That's why if you see the documents, official documents anywhere of the export, it says India has two types of export, POL and non-POL, because our maximum is petroleum oil lubricant. And the worst part is, for this export, we are dependent upon the raw material coming from the outside, crude oil. That is our biggest import. This makes our balance of payment situation. That you will be reading in detail though, and might have read in your classes also, that how balance of payment get complexed. Why? Because we take a lot of crude oil, and then we export petroleum. We take a lot of gold from the outside, and then we export gems and jewelries. This situation can be changed if agriculture export is promoted. And India have massive market. Yesterday I told you about pharmacy, that India has a lot of potential in pharmacy. The second is agriculture. If we really want to increase our export, and if we really want to go in current account surplus, agriculture could be the game changer. In fact, we have one agency called APIDA, that is Agriculture Produce Export and Development Authority, since 1985, working in direction of agriculture export. But we need to identify, and please, when I'm talking about agriculture export, we need to identify two things. That is called trade diversification. Trade diversification means identify those items which we could export. This is where Sri Anna or millet comes. And identify new locations where we can export. Trade diversification is the key. I hope you can recall in the classes we talked about that. Trade diversification is the key. Key in what way? On one hand, let's promote new destinations, because still we are doing maximum trade with 3 countries, USA, UAE, China. Let's have new destinations. Let's have new destinations, A. And second, let's have new products. An wide range of agriculture products could be our export items. If India really want to be in current account surplus, FAO says Indian agriculture should go at least double to its existing level. As of now, roughly 10% of the export belongs to agriculture. And if we really want to increase export, food processing is the key. That's why I told you that these are free hits in your examination. Because if we are increasing food processing, India's export will increase, people's income will increase, rural prosperity will be fostered. Why not? We should take it as our priority. So that's why we say food processing. So for food security, agriculture is needed. For income chances of the rural landscape, agriculture is needed. To promote export, agriculture is needed. That is where we say that why agriculture becomes an important thing in Indian economy. Now, agriculture is having set of challenges. One of the very important challenge, and in fact, when I say set of challenges, there are several committees made on it. Several committees made on it, telling here and there. In fact, one of the name without whom the agriculture cannot be discussed, his name is M.S. Swaminathan. I don't know why he has yet not got Bharat Ratna. I really don't know why, but I really wish that he get it as soon as possible. But he had saved India several times. In fact, Swaminathan committee has highlighted several set of challenges. 2-3 challenges are very important. A, our per hectare production is still very less. Per hectare production is still very less, and that's why time has come to rethink about per hectare production. There's another problem. I'm sure you have heard of the Green Revolution. Green Revolution is a term given by American media. It's not our term. It was given by American media when they introduced one very ambitious scheme in USA called Agriculture Extension Scheme. And in this agriculture extension scheme in Mexico, Norman Borlaug came up with this high variety seeds. USA said that we will give this high yield variety seeds to our friend countries almost for free. Almost for free. I told you already before the break, there are no free lunches from USA. It was almost for free. So this is what we popularly call PL 480 agreement. PL 480 is the law of American Congress, which said that we will provide these high yield varieties for free. India also purchases high yield varieties. And with that, our yield has increased remarkably, no doubt about it. This is what we call Green Revolution. But there were 2-3 mistakes in Green Revolution. And we must understand those people who were giving us these seeds, they are not sages. They had their vested interest. The technology was the new market. And anyone from agriculture science might be knowing, along with wheat came another, what is called problem, a kind of pest that is called Phylloris minor. Popularly in Hindi, we call it Gehun ka mama. It looks like the wheat crop and is a competitive crop to the wheat, the Phylloris minor. Now we are knowing, but the problem of the Green Revolution was it was only confined to your food crops, and other crops were sidelined. Other crops were sidelined. That is why Dr. Kalam has highlighted that time has come for Green Revolution 2.0. What is Green Revolution 2.0? That says we should be having backward-forward linkage in agriculture. So what is backward-forward linkage in very brief? That if you are doing agriculture, what is backward linkage? Let's talk about soil health. Let's talk about water conservation. Let's talk about whether other kind of technologies and mechanization of the agriculture sector. That will be the backward linkage. What is the forward linkage? Don't only stop at the production, processing, packaging. This is where we have what is called cold storage and food processing and these kind of things. So it's a wonderful concept given by Professor Kalam that is called Green Revolution 2.0. In fact, Abhijit Singh gave a very fancy name for it. From farm to fork. Khet se lekar aap, you guys are fork and knife guys. So no, from farm to fork. I might have told you earlier that, I tried once to eat with fork, even dead chicken flied. So after that I stopped, clearly proving that it used to fly sometimes. So look, but yeah, that's how we have these days the term is very popular, from farm to fork. These kind of catchy headings can be given for last moment garnishing of your answer. So this way, when we talk about Green Revolution 2.0, we realize that if we really want to go for backward-forward linkage, agriculture credit is very important. This takes us to something. If we really want to create post-production thing, let's say post-harvesting thing, we need infrastructural support. And that is why a survey has talked about something special called Agriculture Infrastructure Fund. Similarly, for better agriculture yield, I told you that we need to go for traditional agriculture. We have just talked about zero-based natural farming, zero-budget natural farming and paramparagat krishi. The economic survey highlighted that thing also. Then they have also said what should be done for food security, what we are doing in food security, with a special note of National Food Security Act. I hope you are knowing that as National Food Security Act has been revamped now, and from 1st January, it is from 1st January 2023 to 31st December 2023, now the food grains will be given for free. So Pradhan Mantri Garib Ann Kalyan Yojana, which was introduced in COVID, that is 5 kg per person, has been now merged in National Food Security Act, and it will be given for free now. This pure saal, if there is, let's say, a family of 4, will get 20 kg free grains, not 3 rupees, 2 rupees and 1 rupee formula, which we were using earlier in 2013. These are the routine things But they had taken a note of that also, that what needs to be done in terms of food security. Let's take a quick look. As I told you that it has said, the chapter is talking about what we are doing in terms of agriculture, allied sector, what we are doing in terms of animal husbandry, dairy, etc. So production of food grain agriculture growth has steadily increased at 4.6%. That's a good sign. This is definitely a sign of relief. And you know what, in the COVID and post-COVID, agriculture turned to be the silver line. It's the silver line we have seen that saving us. Even our food grain production is also continuously increasing. Food grain production is also continuously increasing. And India is now, you can say, net exporter in agriculture products. That's a good part. I told you that, but at the same time, we are witnessing, as I was discussing in the previous chapter, that we are witnessing climate change on agriculture also. That heat waves and these kind of things are adversely impacting. A few days back, the rain we got is going to adversely impact the wheat now. It will be adversely impacting the wheat. So considering this, it's again another thing which we have to identify. However, they had talked about MSP also. This takes me to a natural discussion. I'm sure you are knowing about MSP, but then even I would like to first connect a few things and then we'll come to what exactly has been done. What is MSP? To to cut the story short, think of 1950s. We don't have enough of food. We don't have enough of food, and we are importing a lot of food. Our people are cultivating. People are cultivating. If we are importing and a lot of food demand is there, needless to say, food prices will go up. So food inflation was very high in 1950s in India. Very high. Now, a new problem came up. Around 1952-53, what we have realized, let me remind you, in 1952, India came up with one of the most ambitious program in agriculture called Community Development Programs, CDPs. Now, in 1952-53, what happened? That our farmers are yielding product. They are cultivating. They need money. Agriculture credit was not there. So they take loan from the money lenders. Now these money lenders made a manipulation. They said, take 500 rupees, do your agriculture, pay me interest of, let's say, 200 rupees, total is 700 rupees, but do not give me 700 rupees in cash. Give me in form of crop. So I am a farmer. I took 500 rupees, did the cultivation, harvesting has happened, fasal cut gayi. Ab mujhe, I have to return the money and interest in crop. And you know, when the crop is harvested, that time it is already oversupplied, cost will go down. So I gave it at a cheaper cost to the money lender. Now, money lender will do what? It will store it, will hoard it, and when the prices are escalating, will sell it. So, wahan bhi fayda, yahan bhi fayda. And we are being the victim. That was the philosophy why we got Essential Commodities Act 1955. The idea was to make sure you cannot hoard more than this level, so that this kind of practice is stopped. But then, if this happened, another problem came up. The new problem was, now we don't have buyers for agriculture produce. They were not interested. Where to sell, whom to sell. Government was not directly available. And that is why it was realized that there should be some mechanism. And that is how from 1963, because again, let me remind you, 1961-62, India got droughts and crop production was to the bare minimum. So food security was a challenge. And that is why in 1963, we got APMCs, Agriculture Produce Market Cooperatives. The idea was now government will procure it. So government will procure these grains, will store it, and will make sure that these grains are available to everyone on a differential rate, on a cheaper rate, to ensure food security. So now what is the case? Upstreaming was done. Government was procuring from the farmers through mandis. Then downstreaming was done when government was distributing with the help of ration shops at a cheaper price. 3 rupee, 2 rupee, 1 rupee, whatever the cost was. That's how we made a link. And the storage was done in FCI godowns, and that's how we got this Food Corporation of India Act, which ensures that central government will do this, state government, that you read in your routine classes, what is the role of FCI, and all that. Now the question was, at what price government will purchase it? At what price government is going to purchase it? It was said there will be a price decided at the beginning itself. That will be the minimum, not less than that. So we call it minimum support price, or MSP. And then there will be another price that is called procurement price. What is procurement price? That will be calculated at the harvesting time, when the harvesting is taking place. So one price is that is there, which is decided beforehand. That for sugarcane, for 22 crops plus sugarcane, we introduce all these things called MSP. So MSP was that minimum price, minimum support price, which will be given by the government. Let's say wheat. Now the government will be calculating procurement price. Procurement price is bound to be more than MSP. It cannot be lesser than MSP. That is the minimum support we are ensuring. So if we see that maybe this year the procurement price of the wheat might be a little higher, because we know that crop has gone damaged and all these kind of things. So this way we got an arrangement that let's have some support system for the farmers, and that's how APMCs came up and the procurement started. So we have one price that's called MSP, another is called procurement price, and the third thing is that even there is issuing price. Who will decide all that? For this, a commission was made called Initially it was called Commission on Agriculture Price in 1965, and later on it was called CACP from 1985. That is Agriculture Cost and Price Commission. Please be careful. CACP recommends the price and is approved by Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. 2-3 times they have asked this and people get confused. CACP hai nahi. CACP recommends, not determines that way. It is approved by Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. That's how we got the idea of MSP. However, it is currently for 22 crops plus sugarcane. Why I'm saying plus sugarcane? Because you might be knowing sugarcane ko leke ek news bhi hai. For sugarcane from 1965-66, that is called Sugarcane Control Order, we got another thing. And later on the recommendation of Rangarajan Committee on sugarcane industries, we got another price that is called Fair and Remunerative Price for Sugarcane. So sugarcane ki jo price hai, that is given by mill owner, not by the government. Recommended by CACP, approved by Cabinet Committee and given by mill owners within the 14 days of procurement. So if I sell my sugarcane to the mill owner, within 14 days money should come to me. However, in this FAR price, there is one more thing called state advised rate. So a state advised price is where the state, so let's say government had said for sugarcane it will be 1800 rupees per quintal, FAR. State government of Maharashtra, state government of UP, if one can increase it further, that will be called SAP price, state advised price. Abhi kuch hua hai, that's why it is in news, that recently government said that FAR will be given in 2 tranches. The first tranche will be given in 14 days, and the second tranche will be given when the mill is closed, along with some incentive, because you know in sugarcane, one advantage we were not getting as a farmer, because sugarcane leftover part, molasses, etc., are the raw material for alcohol business, and these mills make business money out of it. Now the new rule says whatever profit you are getting with the ethanol blending and molasses selling, that also should be shared with the farmers. So the new rule is for 50% money within the 14 days, and rest of the money when the mill is closed, along with the adjustment of this difference. People are opposing it, including me. I'm also a farmer, and I know. I'm saying give me 14 days, within 14 days the entire amount. Give me incentive even after 1 year, I don't care. With interest. Why you are holding my agriculture cost? I think it's making some sense. This is not very clear. Even court has asked also why you are doing so. Give them the entire amount. Give them the entire amount after 14 days. And whatever incentive want to give when them, because once sugarcane mill is closed, owner is not in your reach. It will disappear, and we'll see next year. So considering this, and that too, sugarcane is a kharif crop. For information, I don't know how many of you are knowing kharif, rabi, but which crop is chana is rabi or kharif? Rabi, be careful, because government is promoting in National Food Security Act again the gram, because gram is rabi crop, less in water is needed. So this way, when it comes to sugarcane, we had come up with this idea of FAR. एक और बात भी जो यहाँ पे आपको you should know about MSP, तब हम इस बात पे आएंगे. Now, how CACP decides it? There are 7 terms of reference which CACP considers. 7 चीजें ध्यान में रखते हैं. In fact, it's officially available on the CACP website also. क्या क्या रखनी चाहिए? Don't you think what is the produce cost in the market, nationally and internationally, should be the term of reference? Obviously, because अगर मैं कोई produce बना रहा हूँ तो nationally, internationally कितने में बिक रहा है वो? That is considered. It also considers what is the opportunity cost. What if I was not doing this, was doing something else? It also considers what will be the impact of MSP on the customers. So there are 7 set of references which you read in your routine classes, that how 7 things are there which are considered. And this way we calculate the agriculture cost, that is agriculture cost. Then we say, obviously the labor is there, that also should be compensated. And then we say that we are giving our land on lease, that also should be calculated. This is called A2. A2. And then we say we should get 50% profit on it also. And that's how we got the formula is A2 plus 50%. Thankfully, thanks to this controversy which has ushered in this former protests, we got insurance that 50% increase is there. Economic survey has taken a note of it. That's why it says how we had increased 50% since the agriculture year 2018-19. So now your MSP has been increased 1.5 times, considering 2018-19 as a benchmark. That's a good thing. I'm not getting into those discussions, that's unwarranted here. But MSP ki ek baat aur bhi hai, which has been considered in the economic survey, if you see the original document. In 2016, we have seen another problem. Niti Aayog came up with a report and said our FCI godowns are not having that much of capacity to store food grains. And food grains are getting rotten and they are manhandled and these kind of things. So as we are not having enough of storage, what could be the way out? You tell me. If government is having procurement, and not every procurement is binding on the government. Government kharidna chah rahi, government want to do the procurement. I hope I'm enunciating properly and language is not a problem in understanding. All right. So when it comes to, because sometimes it may happen, So when it comes to government, government is trying to purchase as much grain as possible, but we have limited storage facility. Now what to do? Let's have private players also. What else? Not only sugarcane, all the crops, 22 crops plus sugarcane. I'm saying all of them. Direct fund transfers also could be there, but we have to procure the government, the grain. Otherwise, where the farmer will get the money? Yes, ma'am. Very good. Village community storage could be one of the ways out. PM Sampada is talking about it now. Now, I really wanted you to think so that I can answer you. Anyone from MP might be knowing they have a scheme called Bhavantar. That's one of the very flagship scheme we got there. Now, what is this Bhavantar? Let's say I am the government and I have to procure the grains. In case, if I could not procure, you are selling it to a third party, to anyone. And you are selling it to third party at a cheaper price. Let's say the cost MSP was 100 rupees and you are selling at 90 rupees. The rest 10 rupee will be compensated by the government. This is called Bhavantar. What is the difference in the rate will be compensated by the government. In Madhya Pradesh, they had this as a flagship program. So we realized one thing. Agar aap sabne jo kaha, let's have a common thing for it. In 2018, on the recommendations of Niti Aayog, government came with a scheme, one of the, again, very ambitious scheme called PM Asha. That is Pradhan Mantri Annadata Aay Sanrakshan, ensuring that they get an income. What is in PM Asha? Three things are there. Either the government will do the procurement, or if government cannot do the procurement, whatever is the difference between market price and the MSP will be compensated by DBT. And we are also scaling up private stockists who can purchase on behalf of the government. Now, these three things are called together PM Asha. This stockist thing every state has to do. Whether you want to give difference to your people or whether you want to go with the procurement, that state have to decide. And this way, PM Asha is ensuring that unless and until we are making that kind of storage facility. So PM Asha is nothing but MSP. This is upgraded way of MSP, ensuring MSP. And that's why if you see the government documents, everyone will see it is the new format of ensuring MSP. Because if we are not procuring, then where you will go? We say you go and sell, and what is the difference is, and obviously we have mechanism to get what is the market price, whatever the difference is that will be compensated via DBT, and at the same time we are also developing private stockists who can procure on behalf of the government. So these are some of the development economic survey has talked about it. However, these are routine things. What you have to remember, 22 crops, Rabi and Kharif both, we are having this, and it has been increased. Now for agriculture credit, in fact in the original document they have detailed all these things. Here we had cut it short because now. So when it comes to this idea, when it comes to this idea that agriculture credit is important. Agriculture credit, I'm sure you have read in your routine classes, but then even, agriculture credit is divided into 3 categories. Short-term credit, that is up to 15 months. Agriculture credit in short term is up to 15 months. Medium term is 15 months to 5 years. And long term is 5 years and above. So be careful. When we talk about agriculture credit, we have 3 things. Short term up to 15 months. Mid term 15 to 5 years. Long term is more than 5 years. Now all these things, short term, mid term and long term, in this we required various facilities. Agriculture is in PSL, so loans are made available with the help of RRBs, with the help of cooperatives and all. But at the same time, it was also needed that we need some dedicated programs. That's why in 1998, with the help of NABARD, we introduced one thing called Kisan Credit Card, KCC. KCC provides short-term to medium-term loan. Short-term to medium-term loan, that is up to 5 years. Up to 5 years. And it is having effective interest rate of 4%. The idea is to make sure the money is available to the people. And please, when I'm saying agriculture, just don't confine only to agriculture or fisheries and dairies. It have wide range of activities. Now, Kisan Credit Card is extended even in fisheries and other kind of things. This is the new development, duly highlighted in budget and here both. You can understand the significance. KCC has now been extended to other than non-farm activities also. And definitely is a very useful thing through which, and PM Asha, I have already told you yesterday that how we got 2,000 rupees, 3 installment, that is 6,000 rupees to the small and marginal farmers, that is less than 2 hectares. So these are some of the things to ensure that agriculture credit is available. But what about the infrastructure development in agriculture? For this, we got Agriculture Infrastructure Fund. This Agriculture Infrastructure Fund was introduced as a part of COVID package, Atmanirbhar Bharat, where 1 lakh crore rupees has been allocated. And how it works, group of farmers, that is called FPU, etc. And even from Nagpur might be knowing that how they got, for the oranges export, they had used this. Now FPUs has brought big machines. And with that, they are segregating, which could be export oriented. And it has been automatically packaged. So considering this, obviously it's a good initiative. Various FPOs can do what? Dhyan sunega mujhe. I think this could be important from examination point of view this year. Because alag se isko highlight karna economic survey mein, that makes sense. Agriculture Infrastructure Fund, how much amount is allocated? 1 lakh crore. It will be given gradually. Now, what will happen? Any group of farmers or agriculture traders, they can come together. They can take loan from various banks which are attached with NABARD. So let's say SBI, Bank of Baroda, Canara Bank, they all have signed MOU with NABARD that they will give loan under Agriculture Infrastructure Fund. Now, let's say a group of farmers went to the SBI or Canara Bank to take loan. For what? For agriculture infrastructure. Whatever loan amount they are taking, for 7 years, government will provide interest subvention. What is interest subvention then? Interest subvention simply means, let's say the bank is charging 8%, 9%. Then they have to pay 6% and the 3% will be given by government. The tenure is 7 years. This is the catch. For 7 years, 3% discount on or subsidy on interest will be given by government. So can I ask this way? Agriculture Infrastructure Fund is a short-term loan. The statement is right or wrong? Wrong. It's a 7 year because 7 year is long term. As I told you, short-term, mid-term and long-term. So it's a long-term loan given and 3% interest subvention will be provided. In fact, एक ऐसा interest subvention हम general agriculture credit में करते हैं. If you take agricultural loan, generally government provides certain subsidies. So let's say you take 9% loan from any of the bank. Government gives 3% subsidy on it. How is it effective now? 6%. And if you're repaying your loan properly, government give you further subsidy. And that's how effectively it becomes 4%. This is called modified interest subvention scheme. So these are some of the schemes through which we are ensuring agriculture credit. I'm sure you remember all these things in the classes, but these things are highlighted here. Agriculture Infrastructure Fund, हालांकि 2 साल पुराना, but इस बार budget में उसको economic survey is highlighting it, and as budget is saying that we are going to have what is called agriculture startups. Needless to say, Agriculture Infrastructure Fund becomes important. Even in mains also, you can consider that if we want to promote agriculture startups, this fund could be very useful. So Kisan Credit Card, has been said, and look, now it has been highlighted, it can be useful for fisheries, animal husbandry, etc. as well. Modified interest subvention scheme, you can understand. Here, now what is the point is, certain subvention given by the government. So don't get confused between modified interest subvention and agriculture infrastructure fund. They are two different things. Here, up 3 lakh rupees loan is given, 9% rate of interest, 3% subsidy by the government. And then if you are paying properly, further 2%, that means effectively 4%. So be careful what they are saying. Are they saying effectively 4% or they are saying just 4%? It is effectively 4% if you are repaying your loans properly. Then agriculture credit flow has increased. That is something which is good news. Private investment is crowding in agriculture. After 1991, we have seen that agriculture companies are coming up. And private investment in agriculture has grown up. That's definitely a good sign here. Farm mechanization is something which is working upon. It is the part of 12th five-year plan. We have one thing called submission on agriculture mechanization. E-agriculture. Can you see that how meticulously they have designed the syllabus? E-agriculture, backward-forward linkage. They have not asked green revolution. They are asking backward-forward linkage. That you cannot understand without green revolution 2.0. So this way, e-agriculture is something which is being promoted, and from 12th five-year plan, we are working upon what is called submission on agriculture mechanization or SWAM, where we are ensuring that more machinery and technology should be used in agriculture. Now, good news is that India is increasing agriculture farming. Organic farming is high, and as I told you earlier also, about 60 lakh hectare is in what is called organic farming. India ranks first worldwide in organic farming now. Halaki, organic farming is different from what is called traditional farming or zero budget natural farming. Don't get confused into it. Here we are using biofertilizers and these kind of things. The cost is high of organic farming, and we must not clap here, because we have seen how it could boomerang as it happened in Sri Lanka. So we should be very careful, because our food necessity also has to be catered. So that's how India is ranking first worldwide. More than almost 60 lakh hectare is into this organic farming, right? And then Sikkim became the first state, as we all are aware of. And then if you see here, they are saying that how we have Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana. So all that what I said is been highlighted here. In fact, this is additional thing which they had given. As you know that India is observing International Year of Millet with FAO. And both Niti Aayog and FAO are now working together for best practices in Sri Anna. And I told you that yesterday only we talked about that how we got in Hyderabad Research Center, which is going to be Center for Excellence. That means now that will give more funds to do the millet research, because millet per hectare yield needs to grow up. One thing which you should consider here, in fact you can write somewhere if you have the document, that in India per household land size is now 1.1 hectare. So such small holding. Halaki, they've already asked a question in mains that when we have small holdings, what could be the way out into, I think, 2018. That was natural of them because millet was there. When the small holdings we have and we don't have resources, millet is a very good option. And that's why millet will benefit the small holding farmers the most. And I'm very happy that among my listeners, even people are thinking about community level development. If we go for community level development in millet cultivation, it could further strengthen the situation. That is why we are observing. In fact, some of the names were taken by Finance Minister herself. Like she had talked about Sargam, that is called Sri Anna Jwar. She has talked about pearl, that is called Sri Anna Bajra. She has talked about this even foxtail, this is called Sri Anna Kangni. I don't think you can remember these names or not. Ragi, Saga, Kangni, Kodo, and then was called Jawar, Bajra. Even she herself has highlighted. A budget में जब each time matter ऐसे में 5-6 का नाम लेना, that makes sense. That shows that how much we are emphasizing upon it. So I'm not saying that you should be mugging it up, but at least you should be having a rough idea that what are the major one. Major one, that is foxtail. Sorghum, you can remember, this is very common, sorghum and pearl millet, that is jawar and bajra. And then we have foxtail millet, at least you should remember. Barnyard is something called saga. Then we have what is called little millet. So these kind of Sri Anna we are having. And the detail has been provided that how this millet, which does not require much of water, can be grown in smaller land holding also. That is why India is trying to promote an option of millet cultivation. And as we are observing International Year of Millet, and I'm sure you have heard of one organization called FAO, and along with FAO, we have one program called World Food Program. Have you heard of World Food Program? World Food Program, very good. Got the Nobel also. World Food Program, देखिए साहब हल्के में मत लीजिए. World Food Program में, और I often say UNICEF जैसे organizations, who was going to believe this when UNICEF was saving one kid in Korea? One kid from Korea was saved in the Korean War by UNICEF. And that kid later on turned to be the head of United Nations. I'm talking about Ban Ki-moon. He was saved by UNICEF only, otherwise could have died that day. So World Food Program since 1961, headquartered at Rome, is trying to ensure all these things. So अब पूरी दुनिया में World Food Program मान रहा है कि millet could be low cost, nutritious food for food security. Back home in India and South Africa, we grow a lot of millet. I must say, आप सोच रहे हो मैं back home India and South Africa बोलता हूँ. I love one line of Pandit Nehru that says, we are two brothers separated by the water. That's a very good statement. I loved it. That yes, we are two brothers separated by the water otherwise. And they're being further separated now. Further division ho raha hai, as you know, the way things are changing. So, considering this, these countries are going to be the biggest beneficiary. Biggest beneficiary. What I'm looking forward that what will be the carbon credits for millet cultivation now? If it is higher, perhaps India, Africa could be the biggest beneficiary. This will be our new debate. New debate. In years you will listen that we are fighting for it, better carbon credit and these kind of things for millet cultivation. So that is how we got, they have talked about what is this Anjiro based natural farming. We have already talked about it. Then PM Kisan I have told you, agriculture infrastructure I have told you. Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana is another thing which we have, and thankfully we have seen that it is something, Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana introduced from 2016 in the new avatar. Before that we have another comprehensive crop insurance scheme, which itself need insurance. The scheme itself needed insurance probably. So now we got Fasal Bima Yojana, which is area based, remote sensing is used. We are using remote sensing for the purpose, and we have better methodology of calculation. In fact, again a box has been given for Fasal Bima Yojana. So not here, but I strongly recommend that in mains, you should be ready for it. In prelims, you may get a question of the basic tenets of Fasal Bima Yojana. So while revising your agriculture chapter, take a special note of all the provision. What is the rate for Kharif? What is the rate for Rabi? What is the rate for others? How the mechanism of settlement is there. So there are some 7-8 major points in the Fasal Bima Yojana. You should be taking proper note of it. आपको PT में सवाल मिल सकता है इस पे. Because it's something which we are actually cheering, that we have done wonderful in terms of Fasal Bima Yojana. So that's how, as I told you, it's area approach. And for Kharif and Rabi crop, we have straight compensations now. Earlier it was so complex. Now we say straight compensation, 2%, 1.5% is there, and remote sensing methodology is used for it. Then vision for integrated development of horticulture is there. Horticulture is other than food, and it comes vegetable and fruits and vegetable together. We have special bee mission also. Bee mission is there, and horticulture is another game changer for India in terms of agriculture export. India is exporting a lot with the help of horticulture. Then if you see that we have eNAM since 2016, which has collected all our mandis together digitally. So this way we can get the better demand and better procurement facility. And since 2016, eNAM is there. I am guessing that maybe because eNAM has done a lot of procurement in the last 2 years, that's why Economic Survey has talked about it. But it's a routine thing that how we got, you can say more than 1.7 crore farmers and 2.3 lakh traders has been registered in eNAM portal. So that's how huge number. And climate smart farming practices, I've already told you that we are promoting these kind of agri-tech and technology which could work upon climate resilient and climate smart agriculture practices. The information has been also been given about the allied sector like livestock and all. The good news is that, do you know that we have livestock census also? Who does that? Which ministry? MOSPI? No, it is Animal Husbandry and Dairy and Fishery. Animal Husbandry, Dairy and Fishery. Recently we got 20th livestock census. 20th livestock census has been completed. And the good news is that there is an increase of 4.6 for the same data. So coincidentally, 4.6% increase is there in the livestock. Almost all livestock we have increased except pig. Pig is something where the pig cultivation has gone downwards. That's why we have a special mission for the pig in National Livestock Mission. So almost all livestock, and you know what? This is one of my most favorite lines, being someone from the rural background. You might have heard of Ram Manohar Lohia. He used to say one line, "Ek bigha khet, ek gai, apni kheti, apni rai." He says democracy will come only when you have both the things. If you have agriculturable land and you have livestock, livestock give you routine money. This is the philosophy of integrated agriculture. आप देखें पिछले 5 साल में 2 बार पूछ चुके हो integrated agriculture. That is the philosophy, that you should have both. Livestock will give you routine income. In villages we call dairy is as our ATM. जब भी जरूरत पड़ी दूध गाय बेच आए and get some money. It's our ATM. आप जैसे स्वाइप करते हो, हम, this is what we do. We sell ghee, we sell these kind of products and we get instant money. And I'm saying so proudly. So if you see this way, if we could nourish on these things, livestock, these kind of facilities, then it is very highly unlikely that agriculture failure and livestock failure both will happen simultaneously. So if there is any dent anywhere, the other side will compensate. That is why it's very important to have both the things, and livestock mission is talking about it. So this is how we are saying that how, there is fishery cultivation has increased, 7% increases continuously in terms of GVA, and government incentives are, in fact, this is what we have talked about now, Animal Husbandry Infrastructure Development Fund, when we are trying to have what is called better infrastructure for animal husbandry on large scale. National Livestock Mission, it has been introduced for, because in animals there is a problem now. Fodder is a problem, quality fodder. We don't have quality fodder. And this is unfortunate. I really don't know how to say this, but I really wonder sometime why we are having food wastage. And the food you are packing in plastic and throwing outside is a potential fodder. So I'm really waiting for that startup when on one side they are delivering you vegetables, on the other side they are collecting food, which is a potential fodder also for the animals. This kind of sense of responsibility may create this cyclability. Considering this, in fact, many such things are. Those who are from villages might be knowing. Even I remember when I was a kid, we have a special bucket in our household. And whatever the leftover food was kept there and was given to the cattle. We don't throw it outside like the so-called intellectuals. That's why I often say the problem of this generation is that we think much, but we feel little. We can't empathize others, hunger and starvation. We may talk about poverty in length and width, having biscuitery in front of us. That's a different thing. That's what is called hypocrisy, with due respect. So if you see this way, when it comes to this idea that we are talking about this National Livestock Mission on quality fodder, on pig cultivation. In fact, now we got a new good variety of fodder which can be grown even overnight. It takes 3-4 days to get mature, good enough to be potential nutritious fodder for the animal. Then National Animal Disease Control, because there are some very common disease we have in the animals, particularly cattles. One very common in northern India is called khurpakwa. That these are some of the disease which we are more than often witnessing. So we have a special body for it called National Animal Disease Control Program, which is under again Department of Animal Husbandry. Then Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada. I have told you already, there is one thing called PM Sampada, which is for food processing. For marine, because we are now working upon swam cultivation. Swam ke liye humne bahut sari subsidies di hai. Swam, you know, anyone from coastal India and Bengal and Bihar might be knowing jhinga, we call it in Hindi. That is something which we are working on the cultivation of it, which is one of the export item we are having. So so that has been also highlighted. And last but not the least, and I'm really happy when she answered that cooperative should be promoted. Look, the answer of agriculture prosperity is cooperative. No doubt about it. And I hope you're knowing cooperatives could be within one state, then they come under the state rule. And if the cooperatives are in more than one state, then they come under center, under multi-state cooperative rule 2002. So if the cooperatives are in more than one state, they are under multi-state cooperative rule 2002, under center. And if they are in one state, they are under state rule. It's a state subject then. Now, at central level, we had made a Ministry of Cooperation for the purpose, which is ensuring, in fact, the title is Prosperity from Cooperatives, or Sahkar Se Samriddhi. Sahkar Se Samriddhi. And cooperatives could be useful even in production, even in what is called trading, agriculture trading, marketing and whatnot. So that they had talked about what is the role. I'm sure you're knowing PACS, Primary Agriculture Credit Societies, or sometimes also called cooperative societies. PACS are short-term instruments of the urban cooperative or rural cooperative? Rural cooperative. Do they come into the banking regulation? No, very good. PACS do not come into the banking regulation. Central DCCBs do, and state cooperatives do. So, village cooperatives are divided into 3 levels: state cooperative, DCCBs, and what is called PACS. State cooperatives and DCCBs are under RBI rule, and under Section 35 of the RBI Act, it has been handed over to NABARD. It has been handed over to NABARD. On the other hand, we have urban cooperatives. So, PACS are there ensuring that rural prosperity has been witnessed. They have talked about it. Multi-state cooperative Act is there from 2002, which makes the rules and regulations. So it has been talked about. In fact, yesterday I have given you a quick reference that is here also. There are these, please, from mains point of view, as every year we get a question on food processing. These are the names. Pradhan Mantri Kisan Sampada. It is now in the 15 5-year plan. In the 15 5-year plan, allocation has been further increased. We have Prime Minister formalization of micro food processing. We have Krishi Udan. We have what is called PLI linkage for food processing. Here 10,900 crore rupees given. Here we have 10,600 crore rupees given. And this is something where one district, one product. We are focusing upon one district, one product kind of thing for food processing. And this is how, in fact, Kisan Rail is there. 50% subsidies provided for Krishi Udan. If you are taking your products from Kashmir to Delhi to sell, 50% subsidy is given in the transportation cost. Idea is that this way we can make sure that they are getting benefited for whatever produce they have. So that is Krishi Udan 2.0. And then they have talked about the food subsidies, which I have already told you that food security is very important. And they have said what is being done in National Food Security Act 2013. National Food Security Act 2013 gives 3 rupees, 2 rupees, 1 rupees. And I just told you that this year it has been merged. So now Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana has been subsumed into this. So that what detail has been provided. I have already told you this. So that was the chapter in short. Again, food production, MSP, and all these details has been briefed. What the budget is talking about, just 2 minutes, I know you are getting restless now. So, and thankfully, to be honest, it was, I was not expecting that you will be listening 3 years with this attention. Because I'm speaking so I can be attentive. You have n number of things running in your head. So, all right. So when it comes to digital public infrastructure for agriculture, This is something which has been said in this budget, promoting agriculture ecosystem of startups and agriculture business. Agriculture Accelerator Fund is there, enhancing productivity of cotton crop. Here I'll say one thing. Please take a proper note of it. Prelims में आपको important हो सकता है. Anyone from Haryana might have heard of it. Cotton के साथ एक दिक्कत होती cotton cultivation में. In fact, that is the reason why we introduced BT cotton. BT cotton is what helps us from from one worm which may harm the crop. So that is how, and that is called pink ball worm. Pink ball worm has been again reported in Haryana, and that's our worry. That's why ICR has approved that BG1, BG2, these are BT cottons, will be now used for cotton cultivation. So I don't know how they are going to ask it, but they will ask it. Chances are very high. So BT cotton has two categories, BG1, BG2. That is something which has been evolved for protecting from the damages from this pink ball worm. And unfortunately, it has been reported again. So there is a committee for genetic modified crops recommendation committee that has said BG1, BG2 can be used. Because we know that if we are doing it again, we'll do the same thing which we have done in 2006. And how the cotton war with the China we lost, and how our farmers end up committing suicide. So we don't want to do that mistake again. So we have approved BG1, BG2, despite the fact that there could be some climatic challenges. We know that as Haryana and some part of Punjab and some part of Maharashtra, this is being reported. Haryana is surprisingly having huge number of reporting of pink bollworm. So that is something which is bothering us now. I'm sure you have read in newspaper. It was very significant news. It ran continuously for 10-15 days in Indian Express. I read Indian Express. I don't read Hindu because I found it too difficult to read. For Hindi you need for Hindu you need newspaper and dictionary both probably. So that is how. But it was continuously there. In fact, in the explained section, they have talked about the whole controversy of the BT cotton and why it is and so. So take a crop, and that's why not a surprise in the budget I saw this. Okay, fine, there is a separate column for enhanced productivity of the cotton crop. कहीं न कहीं finance minister was briefed कि मैम कुछ गड़बड़ है यहाँ पे हमें थोड़ा सा और इनको promote करना पड़ेगा. Then Atmanirbhar horticulture clean plant program for better food and for vegetables and other things. GI tag has been made simpler here. Global hub for millets we have already talked about. That's called Sri Anna now. Agriculture credit, I told you that how it has been increased, and cooperatives, how it had been increased. So that's how the budget has talked about. Let's see the questions quickly. India has the largest number of organic farmers in the world. Is it right? Yes. As of 2021-22, more than 10 million hectares of area was brought under organic farming. Roughly 60. But boss, here I'm scared. 60 is more than 10 lakh. Be careful. That's what the point is. That's where the mistake we often do. Because जब जल्दी में रहते हो ना तो that's deliberately done to identify whether you can see these small things or not. I told you when we want precision, we go this way. हम लाख में बात करें पर internationally we talk about millions. So we are talking about 6 million we have. We are saying 60 lakh or we say 6 million. Making sense? So that's how, that's where the precision. मैंने आपको कल भी बताया था, when we want to check precision, we do this kind of thing. To see how careful you are. How careful you are. So the second statement is wrong. First is right. Now PM Kisan scheme, it is financial benefit of 6,000. That's right. 2,000 into 3 installments. Agriculture Infrastructure Fund for financing creation of post-harvest management. I told you, it is the ambition, post-harvest management. Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana follows area approach. So all the three are right. In the context of Indian agriculture sector, in which of the following item India ranked top in the world in terms of production? Number 1 पे हम milk में है, but be careful. Milk में controversy है. If we consider synthetic milk, then we are number 1, like soya milk, etc. That's where the controversy is. If we go with what is called dairy based only, then probably our rank will be second. That's the contour. But yes, हम तो one ही बोलेंगे ना, हम कौन वो दूध के दूल्हे हैं? Look, that they are speaking truth all the time. So that's how. So when it दूध की बात हो रही, तो that's why I said कौन से दूध के दूल्हे हैं? Why even they can manipulate their data? Why not? Look at this United Nations Human Rights Report we got yesterday. Look at the paramount of hypocrisy. उनको सब कुछ दिख गया अपना छोड़ के. What is wrong there? So by the way, jokes apart, when it comes to milk, we rank first. When it comes to meat, we rank 8. When it comes to egg, we rank 3. Third is our position. That's how it is. So in terms of production, milk is India ranks first in milk. Or वैसे भी you can remember, you can see that the way milk is our in day-to-day life. I know that these veganites, those who are having vegan diet and calorie counting, forgive me, but dairy products are the part and parcel of their life. Now after this class, good butter, with that is what I'm actually thinking of now. So the kind of I know that these calorie counting people don't like it. What they talk about 6 packs, I say family pack. And that shows something that we are, we are having khade pite karke, what do you call? By the way, jokes apart. Now, look at the next question. In the last 5 years, it has been growing at an average annual growth rate of 15% food processing. I told you 15% is, I wish, it is less than 10%. Food processing का जो growth rate है, वो अभी less than 10 है. That is how 10 is the benchmark. Because अगर हम वहाँ मैंने आपको बताया कि तब हम agriculture product को बेहतर कर पाएंगे. So if we could make it कि it is more than 10, then our agriculture export will increase further. So in the last 5 years, it has been growing an average annual rate of around, you can say 8. 8.3. So 8 is roughly, आपको rough data ध्यान रखना चाहिए, 8. Again, if you can recall precision that you said 59.1, that's right, वो अच्छी बात है, लेकिन rough data, how it is. Can you recall it really, or just अभी पढ़ा था इसलिए याद आ गया? All right, fine. So because I got someone from my side, मुझे data याद रखना पसंद है. I like remembering data. एक तो job भी है, plus otherwise I like. So, the value of agri-food export, including processed food export, was about 20% of the Indian total export. I told you, सबसे ज़्यादा export हम किस चीज़ से करते हैं? POL. Agriculture export अभी भी हमारा 10 के आसपास ही है. अगर ये 20 हो जाए, this is the mathematical calculation. If it is 20, we will be into current account surplus. So जिसने paper design किया, he thought of it well. अच्छा question उन्होंने design किया, no doubt about it. If they are listening, really they have done a good job. So क्योंकि 20% लिखने का मतलब there is someone informed talking about this. Drafting question, this thing was kept in mind. अगर हम 20% पहुंच गए agriculture export में, तो current account surplus में आ जाएंगे. Mathematically, this has been established. So the statement is wrong. As per the latest annual survey of industries, more than 10% of the person in the registered manufacturing sector, ये तो हमने कल भी बात की थी, it is right. We have highest one in food processing, more than 11%, close to 12. So accordingly, you can see that first is wrong, second is wrong, third is right. So D. Government provides minimum support price only for rabi and commercial crop. ये तो बच्चों जैसी बात हो गई. All right. It started in Kharif actually. शुरुआत ही Kharif में की गई थी उसकी. खैर, agriculture credit facility under Kisan credit card cannot be availed by fisheries and animal husbandry. It is. It is there. I told you it is for all agriculture activities now. And then there is a question that a comprehensive insurance coverage. ये mains के लिए बहुत important है, फसल बीमा. And food security is a legal and social commitment to the people of the nation by the government. And what exactly has been done? So please, when it comes to National Food Security Act, वो date थोड़ा ध्यान रखिएगा, and it is going to be completely free. So this was about 2 chapters we covered today. I hope the class was productive for you, and it made some sense that why economic survey and what is the. So with this, I'm signing off from this responsibility. Thank you.